7-time tech entrepreneur, published author, host of Connects TV, and he's also a mentor. Now, my goal with going to this video with Owen is that anytime that I do any kind of podcast like this, my goal for you is to help you to understand that there's a better version of life than the version of life that you're living now. And I understand, for 99% of people watching, could be you, that the people who you're around currently are thinking at a lower level paradigm. They're in their comfort zone. They're treading water. They're not moving forward. And you want to get around better influences. So when I'm doing videos like this, my goal is to introduce to you people that are thinking from a higher level paradigm so that you can actually begin to mirror that and be influenced by that, okay? So a lot of time you've been watching me and you're like, oh, that's Owen, you know? Owen does that. It's not just me who does this, okay? Many people do this. It's not just me. So that's why I'm introducing you to my friends. Now, as we pop into this, if you like the kind of things that we discuss here today, if you like this kind of lifestyle, and you would like to actually take the program that will show you how to achieve this kind of lifestyle, take the program Blueprint Reloaded. Click this link right here. This is the course that I taught for 5 years. It was about a $5,000 weekend to attend. I've recorded all of it. It runs 80 hours. It is 100% exercise-based, has a forum, has private coaching that you get, and you wind up learning every single thing that you could possibly need to know about making cash, OG social skills, how to get spiritually tapped in, how to have a lot of vitality, how to figure out what you're good at, how to run your day. And my goal inside Blueprint Reloaded is to get you from the point where you are now to where you have a massive network, insane dating life, amazing amounts of cash, doing something you're passionate about, traveling the world, and having fun, which is exactly what it is that we show here in these podcasts. I'm going to say one last thing about it. If you don't feel that Blueprint Reloaded was worth 10 times what you put into it, refund the fucking thing. Likewise, if you don't think Blueprint Reloaded was the best seminar in existence, refund the fucking thing, okay? 1,000%. That is what I would say to you. That is if you watch all of it, if you do the exercises, get on the calls, get in the form, okay? If you actually work the program, my goal is that within 2-3 years, your life is so dramatically different. And what I show you inside there is what I spent decades learning how to build. So if you like the Blueprint Decoded back in the day, Blueprint Reloaded is the hardcore action-oriented program on this, okay? By the way, we're not going to be having the coaching running in there for free forever, and we're also not going to have the forum in there forever. So if you want to get in, hop in right now, click the link right now, and we'll see you inside Blueprint Reloaded. Enjoy. Okay, so we're going to be shooting into our event right here today, together, at last, chance to do this.
Finally.
Okay, so what I want you to do just to kick it off is I'd like you to talk to my audience a little bit about what it is that you think that they're experiencing that's causing them to live a mediocre life. What is a mediocre life? Making less than 6 figures, not traveling, not doing something you love, not having an amazing network, limited dating life, low vitality, low inspiration, and just treading water like a floating fucking turd waiting to get flushed. So that is what I would call the average derper, okay? So how would you explain how normal it is? Okay, because we were networking all weekend, right? We were at Ty Lopez's party. We were at Dan Fleischman's event. It's just normal. You know, you meet other people there. They're all doing the same shit. They're having fun. They're living a good life. Yeah, you have your ups and downs. We all have ups and downs. Nothing's perfect. You know, everybody has their bad day, whatever, right? But overall, it's fucking awesome. So that's what we're around. That's normal for us to be around that. Totally normal, right? So we see people that are not like that. It's weird, right? Same way that for an average person, seeing a homeless person, you have love for them and you wish them the best. You try to help them, but it's weird. Mm-hmm. That's what it's like when you have your shit together, seeing people that are just running a typical life. So having just spent the weekend doing that this past weekend, which is fucking sick, we had a lot of fun. Yeah. What would you say the average person just doesn't understand, and why don't they think they can do it? Like, what don't they get, and why? Like, why do they allow themselves to say like that? It's their fault completely. They're grown adults. Why do they accept it? What don't they understand? Why don't they take action on it? Just any general thoughts on that topic.
Well, honestly, Owen, it's such an interesting question, but I really think it just comes
Let's get you close to the mic.
I think it just comes down to conditioning and your paradigms and the way that you're programmed by everything. It's interesting you mentioned these people that are like that because I was one of those people for a long time, 26 years. I was what you described as the Derber, the one that's low vibration, didn't have any success, terrible with women. I was stuck in that for a long, long time, stuck in that paradigm. And honestly, there were 3 big key takeaways that I remember from this. Number 1 was my mindset. that I was just kind of, this is it. Victim mentality. This is just how my life is. Second thing is my conditioning from my parents, since they're not able to, rich millionaire people, they're not able to live this life. I came from immigrant family. So, and the third thing was not having the right set of mentors in my life, not having people able to guide me to the next level. So for a long period of time, I was stuck like a lot of people, kind of stuck in their conditioning. So those three big things were kind of the reasons why I was there. But after I found mentors, I surrounded myself with the right people. Step by step, systematically, I saw changes in my life. And many times I bought personal development programs, some things like the Blueprint back in the day also. Many programs I brought. And just by simply investing into myself, I was able to get to the next level. But hopefully that kind of answered your question a
Okay, so
little bit.
what were some of the huge epiphanies that you got from that self-investment? By the way, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Whenever we tell somebody to, that courses is beneficial, because I think what may happen is like, you're saying this with absolute fucking sincerity,
Yeah.
but I know that some people literally, as they're coming out, they're going, "Oh, is this just like a course push?" I did my course push earlier. That was a course push, which you should get in. But you're speaking from sincerity right now that you need mentors, you need to get around better people. What are some of the shifts that you made once you started getting around better people?
Like what changed in my life?
Yeah. Or what changed for you that made you realize, like, I don't need to be fucking broke. I need to be all pissed off. I don't need my life to suck. And then what caused you to start taking massive action?
Yeah, I've mentioned this to you earlier, but the single biggest pivotal moment in my life, and people probably know this, whoever follows me, but it was the moment I met Bob Proctor at 26. And oddly enough, he was also 26 when his life changed when he met Earl Nightingale. So odd inflection point there. But
Bob Proctor from the movie The Secret.
Yes,
Most people know him as that.
Yep.
Many other things, but that's how he's known.
Yep, from The Secret and all this stuff, Think and Grow Rich. But at 26, when I met him, and again, I'm not pushing courses, but I paid $15,000 for him to coach me, and I didn't have the money at the time.
But
by
what'd
the
you
way.
learn? Okay, because people are just trust me on this.
Yeah.
The average person's mindset, as soon as you even like, you're saying this from sincerity. You're not even trying to push a course.
No.
But they're going to think in their brain that I didn't know that was what you're going to say when I asked you.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn inside the course? In other words, like, because most of them are not going to be advanced enough to drop 15K, even though they should, but that's where they're at. What are some key takeaways from those courses that began to change your life?
Yeah,
Let's just give it away.
The biggest course takeaways from the program was you actually can have everything you want. That's strange. That just sounds like a bunch of BS, but you really actually can have everything you want. And if you believe it, and it sounds so cliche because I watch so much of this online, but after meeting the actual person, Bob Proctor, who was a janitor and had millions of dollars, what did he do? And he talks about it all the time. You can have anything you want if you just simply write it out on a piece of paper in present tense, and you can actually manifest your reality. And it sounds like a bunch of woo-woo stuff, but it's true. I was a broke loser doing
let's
nothing.
go into the mechanism. So, by the way, I've always believed that manifestation is one of the simultaneously accurate and brilliant concepts ever created, and abused and bullshit and nonsense concepts because of how it's misinterpreted. So the way it's misinterpreted, obviously we know that people are fucking lazy as shit. They think they're manifesting a fucking parking spot. They think they're to manifest $1 million because they just thought about it. But then the way that I view manifestation would be, first of all, say that you're writing down what you actually want, as opposed to just tolerating what you're stuck in and just being in coping. All of a sudden, by writing it out, they would encourage things like vision boards. That gets you to, first of all, it attunes your RAS, which is your selective focus, reticular activation system. It attunes it to actually see the lanes that would get you that fucking thing, because there is ways to get there. And if you're focused on it and you believe you can get it, your RAS is going to light up. The other reason I like manifestation is because you begin to resonate with something of that level of beauty. Like, if something's like that awesome, if someone's resonating emotionally and spiritually at a lower level, they're not a match for that thing. So that's the two things that I like about manifestations: how it impacts your RAS and how it impacts the fact that, like, you have to resonate with something before you can get it. Like, even guys would say dating, if they don't resonate with success, then as soon as someone likes them, they get freaked out by it and they run away. They actually self-sabotage. People have people who like them all the time, but they self-sabotage because they don't resonate with something that awesome. So how do you think about manifestation? That's sort of how I think about it.
I think you have more of like a very concrete analytical approach. Mine is a little bit different. Because I didn't study manifestation in school. I studied engineering, mechanical and software engineering. That's what I studied. But then in these courses, the manifestation concept was introduced to me after meeting Bob Proctor. And what I learned in his program was to get it down to the facts manifestation. You're really actually visualizing what you want in your mind, like deep in your mind when you close your eyes and you actually visually see what you want. And then that's not everything. You visualize what you want, and then you wake up and you need to execute on that every single day with a step-by-step plan written down on a card in present tense. So for example, like I carry a goal card in my pocket that says, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a tech entrepreneur. I earned this exact dollar amount of money per month by serving these people by this exact date. It's very specific. It's not just I want some money. I could give you $1 and you have some money, but you have to be specific. So that's actually what I learned, little tiny tips, tools, and techniques that I teach about also in my courses.
Let's go to the best ones. Like, what would you say are the best ones in your courses? So that people get like a lot of people don't understand that in truth, when you invest in something, that's when you get the most value from it. Yeah. But nonetheless, let's just give it away. What are some of the best things in your courses that you would say people could just start doing right now with that?
Well, that's a great question. I usually charge a lot of money for this, but since it's Owen, I will tell you guys. So the biggest concept was the concept of the goal card, a physical piece of card that you actually carry in your purse or your pocket. And that goal card, what happens is you write down your goal in present tense. And every time you touch that card, an image translates up into your mind. And that image of your goal populates on your head. And every day you think about that. And by doing this process every single day, you are bringing your goal to your mind every single day. There's a few other things you can do, like maybe having that picture of the goal in your bathroom, on your mirror, or in your car, or on your phone. So every day you're really looking at the goal that you thought was unattainable, but you see it every day. Since you see it every day, one day it's going to appear in your life. So
how?
Yeah. So like I'll give you an example. I wanted to create this tech company, Connects, which I thought was totally insane and impossible because you can't just make a tech company. But after talking to Bob, he's like, write it out on a goal. I wrote the whole thing. Connects is this big technology software, et cetera. And I visually saw it like in my hand. I see people using it. And I remember one day I was at a conference and there's like, must have been like 1,000 people like using this Connects software. And I was like, I've already been here in this conference, but in my mind, and now it's here in reality. So I quote unquote manifested that moment in time in real life.
Okay. And so did that compel you to get the technical expertise? Like, so why do you find it more compelling to share with the audience the manifestation part than the technical expertise part? I think that's a question that they would have. Like, it seems like for you as an engineer, you were very, very technical, but then you didn't perhaps have the ambition or the forethought to build something bigger. And then maybe Bob Proctor helped you to think a little bit bigger. Is that what it was?
Yeah, honestly.
Because what you're falling into, I'm gonna tell you flat out. Yeah. And I know you have, because we've been hanging out and I know how much you have to share. You're falling into some of the cliches in manifestation where it's like not specific enough. And it's just like, yeah, just like write the vision out. Give me 15 grand now to tell you how to do that. Like you're falling a bit into that cliche. So I want to dig deeper. I want to pull more out of you.
Sure.
Because I know how much you have. I know fucking how much you have. So let's go deeper into like the real nitty gritty, because like my guys like that are watching this, they've had me bitch slap them for years. Like, have your fucking vision, that kind of stuff. Although I think you're bringing even more light to that, which I love. But like, I think what a lot of them have is they're like, okay, like I have it written down, but like I still didn't do it yet. Or I still, I don't have the technical expertise to do it yet, or, so on and so forth. So any thoughts on that as far as like the rubber meets the road component to having that vision?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of complicated because again, it's tough because you're not trained in this in school. Nobody talks about this, your teachers. So it's kind of like a hidden secret that only the truly wealthy know. All of our friends know this. Each one of our friends know what I'm talking about. But to really make your vision into reality, I'll tell you concretely, actually, you need a supportive group of friends that you can talk to about this. You need an actual team to execute your vision. So for example, if you want to be technically speaking, I want to design a mobile application, okay, software. Luckily, my background is in software and coding, so I can actually open up Microsoft, any of the coding, Microsoft Visual Studio. I can learn JavaScript, Swift, C++, any of the actual coding, and then I need to code lines of code, the login screen, the user interface, the color schemes. I'm actually doing it. I'm not just thinking about it.
So here's what I want to ask you.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you, what you want to share. The biggest thing for you that you want to share, I can tell, is the visualization and the manifestation component, right? Which you're probably attributing more as visualization. So actually, I didn't know that you're going to take in this direction. I'm fascinated by it. I'm fascinated that's what you chose. So you didn't choose to come on here and talk about how to code. You chose more the visualization part. Is that because you feel that people at your school or people who are also learning didn't have the same ambition that you had because of that visualization? Is that why you chose to share that?
Well, there's two parts to that. Number one was the ambition thing you talked about. I mean, I don't know if I naturally had ambition. It's because I was around so many ambitious people in school, and maybe it comes a little bit innately, but the fact that I met so many famous Forbes 500 people like Kevin Plank, et cetera, it rubbed off on me. But to go into technically speaking about coding, it's because I'm an engineer. And a lot of people I coach, young entrepreneurs that actually ask the same question. I have my goal card. I have my thing. What do I do? I'm like, you have to go to work now. Go on Upwork and Freelancer and hire the developer for $6 an hour and tell them to start working on your thing. They're like, oh, I thought I'd just sit on the balcony and I just stare off into the sky. Like, no, you have to you need to execute on the actual, whatever you wrote down, you have to execute on it.
Got it. Because here's how I would put it as an example, right? So for me, when I first built my coaching business, I spent from around 2002 to maybe it was about 2005, working about 100 hours a week on the product quality. Okay, I was obsessed with product quality. That was the fun part. Because for me, that meant going out, that meant socializing, that meant coaching, which is what I love to do. That's like my biggest hobby in effect. If either one of them, if not my biggest. So then from there, I realized, well, wait a minute, there's a limit to how far I can take this with just product quality, okay? And I had worked 100 hours a week on product quality. I've actually continued that habit since I'm a young person. I still go out and work on my product quality all the time now. But I realized, wait a minute, I also need to understand sales and marketing. So what I did was I moved to Hawaii, and I actually rented a house that was oceanfront, and I sat in this house for 3 fucking years. And what I would do is I would go get things like Muscle and Fitness magazine, or one of my mentors, Eben Pagan, who at the time was called David D'Angelo. He had really, really great sales copy. I also learned from John Carlton, Kick-Ass Copywriting, Secrets of a Marketing Rebel. I learned from Dan Kennedy. A modern guy that people learn from now is Alex Hormozy, who's a student of those guys too, funny enough, because those guys are the OGs. And basically what I did was I always felt like the biggest difference between me and everybody else was that I would do the boring, excruciating work of actually typing out entire sales ads, putting them to memory, and then I would have my girlfriend at the time quiz me, and I would literally try to same way that I was like remembering things about you, I'd be like literally putting it to memory, the entire sales copy. And then what I would do is I would actually listen to the courses about how sales copy is written. I'd look at the structure of it, understand the structure of it, and then understand how really successful sales ad fit into that structure. Now, you have to understand that for me, I'm such a woo-woo type personality that I just want to like meditate and be in nature and make love and laugh and be happy. Like for me, studying marketing was actually, it actually used to make me feel like I was going to physically vomit. Like for example, every time that I ever read John Carlton, I literally felt like I was going to puke because he was showing such profound things about the disgusting aspects, the petty, disgusting aspects of human nature. Like when you learn from John Carlton, you begin to realize how much trouble humanity's in. You're like, this is amazing. I'm going to be a multimillionaire and the world is fucked. And like, you literally start to realize that, right? So at that time, I was doing something that was non-resonant for me that I hated, but I stuck with it because I understood that to see my vision come to fruition, I was going to have to learn things like tech. I was going to have to learn sales, learn marketing. I have a 20-person sales team all the time, outbound sales that me and my team manage. Like I also know how to manage sales teams. I know how to structure websites. I know how to do sales copy. I'm actually, a lot of people don't know this, I'm an incredible fucking video editor. I spent thousands of hours editing videos so that I could train my video editing team how to edit videos. Okay, I've learned my whole life. So a lot of my career has been things that I loved, right? And I've definitely felt that law of attraction component enter into my life. Like I really do feel that on some level, I naturally just do that. I've done things like write down my goals. Okay, I've done that at seminars. I've been to a million seminars, but I also feel like I do it naturally. Because I'm just always obsessed with where it is that I'm going and I'm thinking about it. I'm getting really, really, really specific. I'm putting timelines on it. I take it fucking serious, bro. Like I'm fucking psycho with this shit. But the thing is from there, where I feel different than a lot of people in the movie The Secret is like the people that I see in Los Angeles that think that they're manifesting oftentimes it's a lot of like Malibu housewives, right? And the Malibu housewife, like, you know, she wants to start like a massage studio or something like that. She doesn't want to do any of the massages, but she likes the idea of creating like a cute little place that everybody could come to. And so she's like, I'm manifesting it, you know, like I'm manifesting the massage thing. Or like you'll see really, really hot women who, you know, guys will like fly them out places and buy them dinners and buy them shit. And like, I manifest. Like, you're not manifesting. Like, you have guys trying to have sex with you that are buying you shit and you're misleading them. You know, right? Not that a girl has to hook up with every guy that grabbed her at dinner, but I'm just making the point, like that's not manifestation. Like, that's just a guy trying to have sex with you. You know, like you didn't like that. The Malibu housewife didn't manifest a massage studio. You just have a rich husband because you're hot or for whatever reason, and he paid for it, and I guess you manifest it, right? And so that's sort of like a cliche that we see here in Los Angeles. And so it's funny because I think like manifestation, because of that cliche, plus all the people think they're manifesting parking spots. It's funny. I didn't even think we were going to talk about this today, but it's an interesting conversation. It starts to get a bad rap. And the funny thing is, like, I believe in Bob's work, and I know other people whose life have been profoundly impacted by that work and that ideology, including myself. When the movie The Secret became popular around 2006, I was like, wow, this is like amazing. Like, it's one of my favorite movies. It was before YouTube had blown up. I would literally, like, on our old little forums, tell people to watch the movie The Secret. I was like, I love this shit. This is fucking ball. This is sick. I love this. You know, Joe Dispenza was not in The Secret, but he was in the movie called What the Bleep Do We Know, which was kind of like the prelude to Secret. Mm-hmm. He's blown up since then. John Asraf, who I've shared stages with, blew up. Bob, of course, blew up. All these people. An ex of mine loves Bob Proctor, thinks he's better than me. I'm like, that's why we're broken up. But the point is, like, kidding, kind of. But the point being is, like, that is the reputation that manifestation gets. But I feel like a lot of the best truths in life, it's not that they're wrong, but there's sometimes a half-truth. And so I feel like the half-truth with manifestation is that you need the vision, and you need the vision, you need the reticular activation system to see all these little hidden pathways to the goal. You need to resonate with the goal and feel the way that you'd feel if you already have it, like is taught in The Secret. And then you got to work your fucking ass off for fucking decades, right? And that's the part that nobody wants to fucking hear. But I know that you're a hard worker, you know? So I'd just be curious to your thoughts on anything that I had to say there.
I totally agree with you, especially the last part where you have to work every day. And that's what I was alluding on earlier, is when you're like, my vision for Connects, eventually you have enough planning and stuff. And I've coached a lot of entrepreneurs in this, but they get stuck in the entire cliche manifestation. I think the term is overused a little bit, but to get to the actual part, you can look at any of the top Forbes 500 people, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, you know, Steve Jobs. What were they doing every day? You think they were going to conferences and attending events? They were working on their vision every day. You said work 10 years. I mean, these guys were working 30, 20 years, you know, a lot. So at the end of the day, you can talk about manifestation stuff, but at some point you have to get up and actually work, like you said. So for example, in my case, I put in maybe 29-hour days. I'm actually coding. I coded the first 1.0 version of my thing. I had to learn how to code myself, and then eventually I learned how to hire a team, and then maybe mismanagement of paying too much and running out of funds. I've done all of everything a typical tech entrepreneur person who's a techie I've gone through, and I've had to learn that. But that all started from me writing it down. I want to be a tech entrepreneur. I had no idea how you're going to get it. And the thing Bob taught me is you don't need to know how you're going to get it. That's where people get stuck. They think, I want to earn $1 million, but I don't know how, so forget it. That's why a lot of people are stuck in this world, as they just simply don't know how. And I'm telling you guys, take it from me. I didn't know how I was going to get rich and successful, but I kept the vision and the image in my mind every single day of exactly what I saw, the picture. And I took clear, actionable steps every single day until I reached my goal. And then the follow-up is, after you reach your goal, then what? A lot of people reach their goals and they're just floating around. You have to continuously set higher and higher goals. Goals aren't meant for you. They're meant for you to grow as a person. That's what I think goals really are at the end of the day.
I think that's really beautiful, actually. I believe the same thing. Yeah. My only tweak that I'd put on, there's two things I tweak. One is to add to what you said, which was, think about the what before the how, which I think Bob would have probably said. I think I've probably heard that from him. Think about the what before the how. My tweak on that is, like, don't think about some stupid shit. Like, as soon as people start telling me they're gonna be fucking billionaires, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, just fuck off. Like, you know, maybe you feel different, But I'm like, come on, bro. Like, let's get you your first 100K, my man. You know what I'm saying, right? I get clients that want to go on YouTube and they're like, so like now that I'm on YouTube, I'm gonna be like super famous. Like they think that like they post a video on YouTube, they're instantly famous or something. Like, I'm like, dude, YouTube is amazing, but like it ain't that amazing. Like it's fucking amazing, but it's not like it ain't that, you know? It's like someone thinking if they lifted a weight one time and they would become Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. It's like weightlifting is incredible, but it's not like you just lift one time. But it's a system that can be worked. I'd add that to it. The other thing I would say is just kind of going with what you're saying. I think that part of the reason why, for me, when I would see things like manifestation being peddled, was basically just that it's more appealing to talk about that component and easier to create an upsell with that component than it is to be honest with people about the amount of work that goes into something. But and so I get that because you don't want to intimidate somebody. But a lot of my path, honestly, was me learning how to just sit in front of a computer for 12 hours. That, of course, you know, I picked the ocean on purpose when I did that little adventure that I talked about, so I could get up and I could have a little swim and I could go back. But I feel like every single person in their 20s, okay, like right after they finish college, in their 20s, has to have this 3 to 5 year period where you just eat fucking shit for 3 to 5 years and you train yourself to just lock in for long periods of time and get a little bit intense. And what I found was that was where I made my first $2 million by my mid 20s. And that was my first like big windfall. And then from there, you know, learning how to do things that are like a little bit boring, which eventually you're going to outsource them. Eventually you're going to systematize them. But like, I'll even see people, like some of my clients will be like, they want to do social media. And they're like, okay, I'm hiring an editor. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to hire an editor when you don't know how to video edit? Like you're a grown adult. You can train yourself how to do something like video editing within a few months. Because if you don't train yourself on video editing or sales ads or things like that, you can't even audit the work of the people that are doing it, right? Like every single thing that my editors send me, I'm a video editor, so I'm auditing it. Every single camera shot that's taking place, I can tell you every f-stop, ISO, shutter speed, camera lens, that, you know, the different types of lenses that we're using, the different things that they've done. I've spent hundreds of hours learning all that stuff because I understand that that's part of domain knowledge and understanding your craft. And what frustrates me sometimes is like, you know, when I go around Los Angeles, like people will come up to me and they'll talk about how like, you know, they're going to do this or that, like things like what I've done. And I look at them and I'm like, you ain't built like that, homie. Like that ain't you. You're not built like that because you're not willing to put in that kind of work. And that doesn't mean that some people can't get it easy. I think there's always some people that are going to get it easy. Like there's always going to be like that fluke person that just strikes gold. Although to be fair, that can also fuck them up because they got success a little bit too easily. So I would say it's weird because like, I feel like I'm like the most bought into like the movie and The Secret and like the law of attraction. Like anyone you'd ever see, like I fucking live and breathe that shit. I love that shit. And I agree with all of it. But I just think that there's and maybe in some of the deeper courses they talk about this, but I think that there's an underemphasized component that misleads people and doesn't allow them to understand what's going to be involved. Like it's one major element of what's going to create success, but you're not like normal people don't have even $200,000-300 grand. Like normal people don't have that shit. Like even $200,000-300 grand. Like I go to a seminar. I've had it back in the day. I used to do a $300 seminar called the Hot Seat. There was people in the room that didn't have $300. That's the price of fucking lunch. And they can't even buy fucking lunch. There's people in that room that couldn't get that, okay? There's people that can't even put a $25 refundable deposit for a fucking FreeTour, let alone have a couple $100,000. Now, if you're talking, you know, $1 million or $5 million or $10 million or $30 or $40 million, it's not that people can't get it. They can definitely get it. But in my view, they have to do kind of like what you said. They've got to use that deep passion for, you know, like I'm going to get here even if I don't know how yet. Like I'm going to fucking get there. And even put it in your head like I'm there right fucking now so that you're a vibrational match for that is a powerful tool. But then you got to get ready to be like, I've got to find the right books. I've got to find the right help. I've got to put in the research. I've got to take the action. And then it actually happens. And the problem is, I feel like there's so many people who don't understand that when I talk about this shit, I look like I'm crazy. Like I look like I'm the crazy. Like, why are you doing all that? Just manifest it or like put out a TikTok. And I'm like, what world is this? Like, what planet have I arrived on? That's how I feel. I'm just completely unfiltered there. That's how I feel. But I just want to take your thoughts on that. I truly, when we sat down, I didn't even know this would be a manifestation discussion. But I love it because I've wanted to talk about this for a long time, and I can see how profoundly it affected you.
Well, you manifested this podcast. This is
We
great.
did.
So, a lot of things in there to unpack. The first thing I'm gonna go back to is what Bob told me. But if you look back in history and you look at the top most successful people in the world, they all had one underlying characteristic amongst themselves, the successful people. And there's one key word, and that's persistence. Every person, persistent, nonstop persistence. When you had your first million, your first 1 or 2 million, persistently working 12 hours nonstop, there's persistence at the end of the day, and then discipline, going afterwards and continuously going after your dreams and what you want. So discipline and persistence, I think, is some of the most important things. And if you look in Think and Grow Rich, in the last chapter, they have an entire chapter called persistence. I'll never forget this because Bob made me do this exercise with 3 other people in his conference. He said, pick out 3 people, John, Owen, and Nubiel, and every day call them at a certain time in the day at 9 a.m. and read the entire chapter line by line and take turns. This exercise was a little unusual at the time. This was an unusual exercise, but if you think about what he was asking me to do, he was building the habit of persistence. And you know what's funny? In that 1 month that I called those 3 people every single day, I did see a 10x multiple in terms of my goal setting, my goal achievement. In that month, I'm pretty sure I published 3 or 4 books, and I had like 6 or 7 websites developed, only because I was able to advance my habit of persistence every day. And doing this exercise in the morning was very unusual, but it helped build this habit in me. So I had a little bit of advantage because I had a legendary person teaching me little tiny tips, tools, and techniques, which I talk about in my courses. But to piggyback on what you're saying and being success and manifestation, it really comes down actually to persistence and discipline and going after what you want.
What was it like for you putting in those kind of hours?
It was, oddly enough, very normal for me. You have to remember the career and industry that I picked in my life was engineering. And another thing earlier you touched upon is like, you have to work all the time, etc. Again, look at the top 10 Forbes 500 list. Ask Bill Gates or Elon, does your work, is it like you're working or do you like what you do? And Steve Jobs said this in a long time ago, but you have to love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, when it gets hard, you will give up. So I think work is work, but if you really love what you're doing, it's kind of like you really want to do it. So the hours that I was putting in, I can't really total them up because I really wanted to do it. And anytime you really want to do something, you'll put in the hours to get it done. And let's say you're at a job and you don't like doing it, you will count the hours until it's over. But when you're in a thing that you like doing, the numbers are difficult to count. So I can't tell you the number of hours I was working every day when I'm pursuing my dreams. It just becomes irrelevant, actually.
And did you find that you got in a flow state during that time, or was some of it dreary or things like that, or what was your experience like?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like it was cyclical. There was a lot of times in my life, especially I think the most productive years of my life was probably 26 to 29, and that's only because I literally had coaching calls with Bob Proctor every week. That's pretty intense when you have someone levels and levels above you. That's kind of, I highly recommend, you have to have somebody 10 years above you, but having those calls, anytime I slipped, and a lot of people slip kind of into this, like a sadness or depression or something, when you have a legendary person, he'll pull you right back up exactly where you were, and then you're kind of in that flow state, and you're really in that state. And then during that period of time, that's when you can grow, create, and produce more. So
what were some of the big moments you had on those phone calls?
Man, there's so many. And if you want to see some of the phone calls, go to my YouTube channel, and I released some of the calls finally.
But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'd love for people to go to your YouTube channel, but I want you to say them right here, because my audience, the way they are, is they want you to tell them here. That's just how they are.
Yeah. So your question was, what are
some of the big moments from the phone calls?
Some of the big moments I had with him was there's just so many times where I'm like stuck in something, and then he'll just tell me how to get unstuck. I think it's the concept of the letting go. Like something happened, like one of my developers just quit, and he was like my main developer, and I was freaking out. Like the whole company is going to fall apart. I was able to talk to Bob Proctor. I'm like, Bob, my main developer quit at the company, and I don't know what I'm going to do. He's like, First of all, Oren, you need to learn to relax, okay? Visualize yourself with a brand new team. Everything happens for a reason. Everything that's happened in the past has prepared you for what you're about to do in the future. I was like, okay, this is great, Bob, but what do I do? He's like, well, you need to go back on Freelancer and hire new developers. I'm like, okay, great. And then I did it. It was just nice to have someone to talk to like that. That's on your side. That's 100% for you and wants to see you grow and win. So that's one of like hundreds of things I learned from him. I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but basically being able to pull yourself out of a situation and learn to respond, not react to that thing or event or that person that happened. And when you react, you lose control of yourself. When you respond, you remain in control of yourself. That was a big concept I learned.
That's beautiful. I can see that. That's something you've internalized. I feel that in your essence, actually. I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that in you, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to Bob every week. You don't forget calls like this, especially after he passed away. Then you really go back and you replay everything he taught. And I teach this stuff to people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I guess what else I would say to you would be, if you're somebody so here's a lot of what I see, okay? This is like a very, very common thing that I see. So basically, you have a guy who's watching my videos, right? And so the biggest problem that I have to get them past, so I go out of my way to learn about things like public speaking and to have a larger than life persona. And so what happens is they see that and they go, well, of course he can go do that. But so it's an irony that the very thing that I use to hold attention and to court attention and to entertain and to keep people motivated and keep them listening also paradoxically creates a separation between what I'm capable of doing and what they're capable of doing. And that for me, like even when I see people in a seminar and I just see that they're not living up to their potential, I understand all these trite cliches that accept that people are where they're at and don't judge them and so on and so forth. But I feel like I get so angry seeing people that are squandering their fucking potential. And it makes me a passionate teacher because that anger fuels me to try to help them to get to the point that they want to get to. But it's weird. I often feel that I care more than they do. And then they start watching personal growth things like the way that I would watch a Lakers game. Like I'm never going to play in the NBA. I'd be lucky to play a game of pickup basketball, but I watch it as a fan. And I think people get to the point where they start watching their favorite gurus as a fan, where they philosophically align with something, but they're not actually taking action on it. I remember this during the pandemic. You'd see people that were like, I don't believe in lockdown, but then they weren't taking zinc or vitamin D3. And I'm like, okay, so you just sort of conceptually don't agree with lockdown, but you don't even take any vitamins. I'm not giving medical advice here, but that would just seem like a strange thing to do if you don't agree with lockdown, or understand the dosing. So, or understand like cofactors like quercetin or vitamin K2 that helps it to absorb and things like that. I'm like, okay, so are you just like a fan of Team Red, or are you actually living this? And so in the community that I came from, the biggest thing that we would call back in the day was called keyboard jockeys. And these were people who would talk a big game, but they wouldn't actually go execute on it. Or they'd say like, I think it should be like this. And it's like, go fucking try to report the result right now. The community, like that era of the community barely has any oxygen left in it, because I mean, a lot of the podcasts that you see today would never have been allowed to exist back when I was younger, my 20s and 30s, because those would have been viciously rooted out by saying, I don't want to hear your fucking theory. I want to hear what actually happened. Like, so the way that I teach is I split test something and then I just report the results. I have to unbiasedly just report the results. Okay. Like, this is just what happened. Like, this is what I tried. This is what I hypothesized are some variables. And this is what fucking happened. And it's meant to be empirical. So that's the sort of ideology that I have. I'm kind of rambling here. That's the kind of ideology that I have. And then I see someone who's like, making $20,000 to $50,000 a year. They're not going to be able to have a family. Like, it's to the point that for men now, having a proper girlfriend is like having a Rolex watch. Like, they can't even afford to have a girlfriend. And even if they could afford to have a girlfriend, they can't afford to have a kid. Like, they can't afford a girlfriend. They can't afford a kid. They can't afford to raise a kid. They can't afford to take their kid fucking camping. They can't afford to get their kid a fucking hot dog. And so, and they can't, someone could live like, I'll get people that'll heal. I have a free event in New York. They're like, oh, I'd have to drive it an hour. I can't go. What the fuck? And like, that is actually the majority of human beings. So what would you say to some of these people that are just in this fucking trance of incompetence and failure and just like literally like just basically functioning to what the elites would call a useless eater, to where the elites can even justify literally just flushing them down the toilet like a piece of shit, and they have no guilt about it and view them as just something to be managed, like a problem to be managed, with no guilt about it, and I coach some of these motherfuckers, and I know their fucking mindset, it's insane. How the fuck do we get these people to understand, like, this isn't what God made you for. God loves you. This is not who you are. You're in a fucking trance. You're probably satanically possessed to some extent. You've got a demon on you, or whatever the fuck metaphysical belief you have. Maybe you just call it you're a fuck up, but whatever you want to call that, how do you shake them out of that? Like, what don't they understand? And what don't they see? And why do they tolerate that? Why are they okay with that? Why don't they look in the mirror and cry and scream and kick their couch and fucking, like, I don't know, like, punch themselves in the face or tell their friend to punch them in the face? Like, how do you just live like that? And what's going on in their mind to where that becomes numb to them and acceptable to them when there's so much more beauty and things that are inspirational about life and fun in life, and like the people that we hung out with all weekend? Why aren't they with us? Like, what aren't they seeing? So just some general topics I'd like to get your insight on.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to what you said earlier when you mentioned, you look at people and they have stuff that you don't have. I remember, again, very specifically, Bob would talk about this when he was growing up, watching like Earl Nightingale, and he would always look and say, that person up there on the stage, they have something, but I don't have that. I wish I could get there, but I can't get there because I'm not dumb. So I thought about that all the time, the imposter syndrome. And it's so funny how we all think that, right? How come they can do something, but I can't? And I'll never forget when he told me this, but the only reason you think that they can do that and you can't do that is because of your conditioning, because of your paradigms. And for some reason, that person can do something that you can't do. It's not true. You actually can do more than that person. But it's the fact that you don't have the belief. The belief system is the setup. And so what Bob did to me is he created a belief in me that I didn't even know I had. And by waking me up, quote unquote, I was able to pursue what I wanted to do. So to answer your question about why are people kind of stuck in this thing, it's very sad. And I remember him saying this. He's like, you don't understand how many people in the world are walking around right now stuck like this. And they're going to die like that. That could be one of you guys. And I'll just give you two pieces of advice. Number one, it's a decision. It's really a decision at the end of the day. Do you want to live like this? And number two, do you recognize you're in this? You can't escape a prison if you don't know you're in one. And so that's what Bob Proctor helped me do. He helped me realize, Oren, you're stuck in this thing. Why don't you let me show you the way? Your way's not working. Try mine. So that's another key point of mentorships. They'll help you pull something out of you that you didn't see in yourself before. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, it's true. There's a lot of people stuck, like you said, that are stuck in fear. But sometimes in life, you need someone to help you. And that's the whole point of listening to podcasts like this, or me and you, finding mentors and people that are inspiring that could help you, and find them and go after them. At one point, I was looking up at you for a long time too, Owen. I was watching a lot of your dating stuff when I was going through struggles, and your voice and your opinions really helped me a lot. So meet your mentors. Maybe one day you'll be on their podcast at their house. So yeah, that's kind of how I would answer that.
Thank you, bro. That's amazing. Yeah. Do you have any other last things you want to say about boxing? I'm going to change the topic, but any final things? I didn't even know that this would be what you'd bring up, but I see it's a special moment for you to talk about your mentor, and I think that's very beautiful. Any other thoughts on it? Otherwise,
just to wrap it up. I trained with Bob Proctor for 6 years. It was honestly, it's just the way I would describe it is I was really losing at life. Like the people you're describing, that's me. I'm there looking at you, thinking I'll never get there. But just the pivotal moment I had is the realization that I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And at that moment, I was sitting in my car at this electrical engineering company, crying in my car, in my Infiniti G35, wishing, please, somebody help me. I'm so tired of this life. I can't make my bills. The girl that I'm dating, she's going to probably leave me, etc. I just can't afford to do this. But it's the fact that I was at rock bottom. I wanted to make a point. And for the people that are at rock bottom right now, listen to me. Just because you're at rock bottom, don't give up. Do not give up on yourself. You can keep going. Just believe that something good is about to happen. Whenever there's bad, there's usually something good that happens. Like after your accident with your leg, it was pretty horrible, but now something amazing is going to happen. Maybe you'll be in the best shape of your life forever.
I'm going to have to be. I have no choice now.
Exactly.
Or I'll still get arthritis.
Yeah, see, there you go. And then for me, my motorcycle accident or my heart attack that I had, terrible, terrible thing. But
that was actually what I wanted to make the next subject, by the way. So
Yeah,
that was actually what I wanted to bring up next.
that's
So
what I want to
perfect
talk
timing,
about.
yeah. So you had a heart attack,
Hmm.
and you have that it runs in your family. Your mother passed away from a heart attack,
Yeah,
and then your father's had a heart attack as well, as my understanding.
6 heart attacks.
That's 6 heart attacks.
Yeah.
Okay. And I recommended to you maybe to look into, not giving advice, but just to look into nattokinase,
Mm.
natto, which is a fermented, not unfermented, but fermented soybean. Soy normally bad, but when fermented, it gets rid of the estrogenic properties, and actually, it has a very very special component in it called nattokinase, which potentially could be something to look into. And I'm not giving you advice. Bromelain would be another thing to look into.
Hmm.
And there's even other things you could look into. But the point, and we could talk about that later. But the point being was, I just want to mention that like right now off the top of my head. I think it's important. Just look into, not giving advice. Now, the other thing would be, especially when combining with medications, look into it or talk to doctors. Now, the other thing would be, regardless of that, your father, he's having a hard time right now. I know he's like really, really having a hard time. And so you've had both your parents with heart attacks, and then you had a heart attack. You have a stent in your heart right now.
Hmm.
What are some things that you learned from having a heart attack?
Well, it's interesting, and I'm going to unpack that in 3 different ways. Number one, our mutual friend here, Ty Lopez, talks about the 4 pillars of the good life: health, wealth, love, and happiness. And I'll have to tell you, Owen, I definitely had the wealth. That's from Bob Proctor. Bob helped turn my annual income into my monthly income when I was 26.
Mm-hmm.
Then I lost it all, then I made it back again, and then I lost it all, and I made it back again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because a lot of people in general really focus on just concentrating on the wealth. And please take it from me, if you just focus on wealth and you forget about your health, you might end up having a serious concern. So the reasons the heart attack, I get this asked all the time. It was really 3 reasons. Number one was actually the food putting in my mouth: burgers, cheesecakes, microwave dinners while I'm up late coding. That's very unhealthy. Stress actually does significantly affect your arteries and cortisol. And then third, which is just either you're fortunately born with great genetics or unfortunately you have bad genetics. In my case scenario, it was the latter, but it took me a long time to figure this out. I had a conversation with Dr. Cadwell Esselstyn, which is Bill Clinton's former cardiologist. And he said, Oren, I wish when babies were born, we could just swab their cheek inside and have your entire genetic makeup and say, hey, Owen, just letting you know, if you have a lot of dairy, you're going to probably die early because of your genetic makeup, thanks to your family. So unfortunately, in my family that comes from the Middle East, we have a very high probability of heart disease, coronary heart disease, genetic problems. And I actually went one step further, and I went to the NIH and I got my DNA tested. And to be a little technical, my apolipoprotein B inside my DNA, that is not functioning properly. And that's at the genetic core level. Doesn't matter what you take, unless you have some type of genetic editing, which is what I'm looking into at the NIH. They have a study about me. Familial hypercholesterolemia, that's the name, FH. A lot of people in the community know that, but that's a condition where basically your apolipoprotein B will severely affect your cholesterol.
ApoB.
Yeah, and a lot of people will have heart attacks early. A kid will have a heart attack at 12. Strange genetics. Nothing to do with the food you're eating. It's just unfortunate. So once I discovered that, I realized I need to make a significant shift in my life. I'm not able to consume the same amount of foods people are consuming. It's very dangerous.
By the way, I want to let you know something. One of the things that I really hope through our friendship that I can just get on your radar will be a lot of the natural health as well.
Yeah.
In other words, sometimes the things that we can use to prevent things with pharmaceuticals can actually cause some of the bad things that happen to us. And we think that we're helping, but actually sometimes just not so much. So it's like the more that we can teach you, like almost like an encyclopedic knowledge on natural health. So I myself have not been sick in 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to give medical advice to somebody because my success of that is anecdotal. It's not a double-blind study or anything like that. So that's not what I'm trying to relay is like my method to not get sick. I don't care about that. Sometimes people ask me like, what's your method to not get sick? I'm like, I'm not giving you medical advice. All that I'm trying to tell you is that I'm just sharing one message. I gained encyclopedic knowledge on natural health. It could always be more, by the way, because it's always a work in progress. And I didn't get sick for 13 years. Mm-hmm. And I think anybody could just stop getting sick if they studied enough. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that. It's just anecdotal. But what I would love to share that with you is like, I'd love for you to just gain encyclopedic knowledge on natural health. But what I'd love to shift the conversation to are what are some of the more spiritual or life affirming epiphanies that you had from, like, what was it like? Tell us what the heart attack was like, what your fears were like, how you experienced it, what the hospital was like, what getting the stent in was like. I know that just with my broken leg, just recovering from that surgery was nightmarish and hellish. I can't imagine what you were dealing with. The shock of realizing that this was happening to you. Tell us everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go into it. I won't go deep into it because it's still a very recent memory that happened. But I mean, I did a full 3-part series on my YouTube channel, Orange Sharif Heart Attack.
Brother, listen, this is important, okay? You're going to piss off my audience. If you keep saying to go to your YouTube channel, they're going to hate you.
All right, well,
so
I'll give the quick version.
But I want to guide you to having success in this podcast, okay? So you've got to share, okay, right here.
I'll share
and
right
some
now.
will even go to your channel
It's quick
too.
because it's a very deep thing. This heart attack is like hours and hours and long. So a quick version, like Owen said, the longer version is later. But quick version, for people that never experience a heart attack, I actually had all symptoms of the heart attack, unfortunately. A tremendous amount of chest pressure on your chest, like an elephant is standing on top of your chest, cold sweats, shivers. I mean, my hands were getting clammy. I couldn't breathe, but it was a very like slow, long thing. That's why I explained it in my videos. It must have been like 40 minutes. And at first I thought my brother poisoned me from the food that he ordered, and I was vomiting, like, and my esophagus was like ripped, and I took a shower and then I passed out. And at some point I'm like, this is very unusual. I've never felt this in my life. And I called 911. And even oddly enough, there's a little tiny camera in my room that caught the whole thing on camera, and I released it on my thing if anyone wants to. It's not the full footage, but a little short clip of it. And to go into the medical system in the United States, I will keep my opinion maybe very brief, but there's definitely a lot of things that I think the United States can do in improving the medical system. Now, to the firefighters and EMTs that rescued me, you guys were doing your job. But just because the EKG says it's normal doesn't mean it's normal. I was a very unusual scenario. My EKG reading wasn't showing heart attack. It actually showed no heart attack. Wrong. So that was a big mistake, and maybe some type of medical device I'll probably will invent to help catch that, which is what I'm working on. But after they took me in the hospital, again, several mistakes, but when you're having a heart attack, there's an enzyme released in your heart called tropamine, and that enzyme is only released when you have some type of cardiac event. And so as I was sitting there, oddly enough, when I was in the hospital room, my dad was in the room next to me at the same time. He just happened to be there. It's very weird. I was like, if this is the moment that I die, at least I die right next to my dad. So it was really depressing, but luckily I didn't.
What did that feel like emotionally?
It was very intense. I mean, after my motorcycle accident I had, that was the first time, 26, where I really experienced like near-death situation where I flew off a motorcycle on a highway and a truck almost killed me, and I already went up to heaven and came back down.
We're going to come back to that. Keep going.
I already went to that, but it's almost like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to die again. At that point, honestly, I didn't even care, actually. I really didn't even care anymore. I was like, if this is it, this is it. I've accomplished a lot, and at least I'll die next to my dad. It's fine. And luckily, thanks to medical technology and the invention of the stent, that didn't happen. But to go back on the medical system, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this, but to be very specific, on the first floor, when you get admitted into the ER room, people need to understand also, because I have a lot of nurses and people that watch me, they're doing the best they can with an understaffed thing. And you have a bunch of people in there that have gunshot rooms. Like, give the ER doctors a break. They're just coming in there to check, are you dying, you're not dying, goodbye, and they walked out. The guy that saw me, I won't mention him, should have done a better job at watching me instead of arguing with me. Are you having a heart attack? I'm like, I am. He's like, you're not. I'm like, I am. He's like, you're not. I'm like, take me to the cath lab and give me a stent. He's like, no. So it was a lot of that. And I really break this down in my longer series. So to sum it up, 13-hour heart attack, Owen, before they gave me the stent. And I don't want to talk about the medical malpractice suit and all that stuff, but that's really wrong. When my dad had his heart attack, 1 hour they gave him a stent. Why did I have to wait 13
Could you
hours?
tell my audience what a stent is?
A stent is a small cylindrical device, usually made of aluminum or chromium, that goes into your artery. So imagine you have an artery and it's closing up due to plaque and maybe coronary artery disease, and eventually it'll close, it'll shut, and then that one single branch artery will slowly die. Not all of them, but depending which artery dies is how long you'll live. If it's your LAD, your main artery, it's called the widowmaker, you'll die within 2 to 3 minutes, which is what my mom had, unfortunately. Me, I had my obtuse marginal branch, which is a very small minor artery in my heart. That was 100% occlusion, and due to that, I was able to live for, a few days. But actually, if I didn't do anything, I would have just died after a few days because of the heart dying muscle. So eventually,
By the way, if you don't mind, if I'm going to jump in, I just want the audience to hear this. So these are the top killers. This is listed under CDC. This would be in America, I'd assume.
Heart attack.
Yeah, heart disease is number one, which is a heart attack. That's 700,000 a year. Second is cancer, which is 600,000 a year. Second, and I think this would be more for accidents. That accidents is 200,000 a year. Okay, so basically, what you have is the top killer, which is heart attacks.
I'm in that statistic. I'm in there.
Yeah.
I'm in that statistic. That's me. And so is my family and my mother. So the biggest...
People don't think it's real. Like Kevin Samuels.
It's real. I'm young,
Do you
too.
ever used to watch Kevin Samuels?
I think I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, and he had a blood pressure issue, and you'd see him with Red Bull every single video, and much love to him. But he, for better or worse, some people love him, some hate him. But, I just appreciate any content creator trying their best, and he was trying. And he had a lot of skill, and he's OG. So he passed away. A lot of people pass away from heart stuff. And one of the things that I learned actually when I was researching this was that, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but this was just from what I read, basically that, say that you eat bad food, right? Well, you can diet the fat off and get washboard abs, but a lot of people believe that you actually can't get rid of the plaque that you're putting inside of your arteries. So it's now some people believe that with things like nattokinase or other things that you can do, or including food fasting, that you could actually get rid of some of it. That's an alternate opinion, but the mainline opinion is that you can't. And whether that alternate opinion is true or not, and I don't think you should ever give up, you definitely shouldn't give up. If you want to get rid of that, you should spend your whole life trying to get rid of it and don't fucking give up. But the mere fact that the mainline opinion is that you can't should make you realize that when you pound down that ice cream, there's a toll that your arteries are paying. And this is why you see so many people at age, say, 77, 78, and you're like, it's weird. People 78, 77, 78 don't that's like the average death. They don't look that old. And then when you realize, like, no, they just die because their arteries get calcified or they get plaque, and then they just die from the heart thing. And that's literally why everybody's dying from that. So we don't realize that certain bad lifestyle decisions that we're making have irreversible consequences. Now, some people will hear that, they get depressed. It's like, don't go getting depressed. Just stop. Right? If you're digging a hole, like, don't get depressed that you're digging yourself a hole. Just stop. Okay, we'll dig you out as best we can. And if we can, but stop. That's another thing. But what I want you to go back to also was your near-death experience then with the motorcycle.
Yeah, so I'm going to unpack that. The last part that you just said, that's conditioning when you grow up. The American diet, that's conditioning. You're conditioned to eat meat, bacon, etc. You don't get to choose that. Your parents chose that for you. But
grain-fed meat, yeah.
But what if you grew up in a vegan family? What if your father was Dr. Cadwell Esselstyn, the legendary cardiologist, with his book, How to Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease? And I promote that because that book changed my life. And you actually can prevent and reverse heart disease. I said that, very controversial, cut that up into a clip, because not a lot of cardiologists believe that, and neither does mine, but I'm still here. So, I mean, Cadwell Esselstyn's entire thing is pushing the plant-based vegan diet. And if you just think logistically, if I'm just eating lettuce and a tomato, there's no fat and cholesterol in there. So how can cholesterol accumulate in my body if I'm just eating lettuce and tomato and something? So it's kind of like logistically, everyone knows cholesterol and stuff comes from meat, red meat, steak, etc. But if you're conditioned to continuously eat steak and stuff, that's the way it is. And if you're lucky that your genetics is okay for you to eat steak, keep eating it. I'm not saying don't eat meat, but please get your genetics and your DNA swab tested. If you're like me, I can't have that anymore. It'll really hurt me.
There's a lot of people who also believe, but we don't need to go deep on this, that actually grass-fed meat and more paleo type diet can be good. But there's a lot of opinions on. But what I'd love to hear from you is what it was like to die. So in the motorcycle accident.
The first time I died. Yeah, and hopefully, knock on wood, I'm not gonna die anymore. Hopefully. So the first time, the motorcycle, I had a what year bike did I have? A 2015 or 13. I had a Ninja Kawasaki Ninja 300 in lime green. It was such a cool bike. Not a big bike for those bike people out there. It wasn't a 600 or 1000 CBR. Although I've had those, I just like the 300. It's cool. It's the first time it came out. It was green, and it was my first bike. And I just wanted a motorcycle to pick up girls. It was fun, and I did get a lot of girls picking up girls on my bike, and then some of them fell off. But no, I'm just kidding. So yeah, I rode my bike. I was part of like a little bike crew in Montgomery County. Shout out to Montgomery County in Maryland with my crew. And I used to ride with my friends. It was great, and I loved my motorcycle. It was such a nice bike. And I rode in full gear most of the time. All those people, wear your helmet and wear your gear also. It could save your life. It saved mine. But it was one eerie night. I was leaving a wing place with my one friend. He had a bigger bike than me. We're driving down 495. I specifically say 495 because of the terrible roads on that little highway. But I was driving, and there was a small metal plate sticking up. You know how construction has these little metal plates? Cars can go over them, but if you're on a smaller size bike and you hit a plate that's 6 inches above the ground and you hit it going fast, like 90, you're going to wobble. And since my specific Ninja 300, that model doesn't have anti-spring dampers like some of the BMWs, I hit it, and as I went into the air, and I launched into the air. At the end of the day, the Montgomery County should have replaced that thing, and we sued them later. But when I landed, I like landed on my bike, but it was in the death shake. It's called the death shake, and I was wobbling, and I just couldn't hold it, and it let go. And as it let go, I'm like, I'm gonna die. And
Do some people stabilize this death shake thing?
if you have the anti-spring damper, so maybe somebody should sponsor me for the anti-spring damper. But yeah, Kawasaki didn't release that on the Ninja 300, so it didn't damp. It's supposed to control anti-vibration, so when shaking, the little dampers will stabilize that. But I didn't have that on bike. So as I landed, it shook too much, and I just let it go. And as I let go, I slipped. I'm glad I'm talking about it. I haven't talked about this in a decade. And I started a roll. I was rolling on 490. It must have been like 20, 25 rolls. I was wearing my jacket, my helmet, my gloves, but I forgot my boots, my bike. So my shoes just flew off my feet, and they're just flying off my feet. And I'm rolling and rolling, and I don't know how many times I rode, 25 times.
Because there's just so much force.
It's just because
like when you're launched off that.
And I landed like that, and the bike slipped out, and I just continued, and the bike just flew off into a barrier somewhere, and I'm just floating down the highway. It's a packed highway, rush hour. I remember there's an 18-wheeler truck right behind me, and I stopped, and the 18-wheeler is coming, and I start praying. I'm like, if this is the day that I'm going to die, God, just put me in heaven or something. And I just closed my eyes, and it stopped right before it ran over my head. And I'm like, okay, that's step number one. I didn't die right now. And then number two, I don't remember if it was a helicopter or something, but the neighbor, the car behind me was like, "Oh my God, are you okay? You look like you're dead." And then the ambulance came and they took me away. I must have been blacked out for like, I don't know, maybe like a day. And I woke up in the hospital and it's just in and out of consciousness for like a month. And it was bad. They did a lot of work on my leg and everything. And the doctor really said, it's a miracle you're alive. Most people just die from motorcycle accidents. You're supposed to be a dead man. I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to kill me now? I'm still here. And he's like, you kind of just walked over the scratch, technically. Your leg had really horrible skin, and I have some skin missing on my back too. But that was really bad. And I remember at one point I felt like I went to heaven, and I'm going up. And I swear I'm going to put this in the movie that's going to be released about me soon. But I have this scene where it's like Morgan Freeman is playing God. And he's like, Owen, you are now in heaven here. Like, what do you think? I'm like, oh, it looks nice. He's like, well, I'll give you two chances. Number one, you can stay up here with me and all these famous people. Or number two, how about I give you one more opportunity to come back to Earth, but you have to do something with your life. Okay, this is before I met Bob. He's like, you need to do something with your life. I'm not going to put you back on here and then you just go back to work. You need to make an impact in this world. Do something if I give you a second chance. What do you say?
Did you hear that as a voice?
I saw Morgan Freeman actually, and I was like,
Are you serious? You actually saw it as Morgan Freeman?
I mean, that's the way we're gonna depict in the movie, but
I mean, what did you see?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw like kind of like a typical like a god type figure, But I swear, let's just go with I saw Morgan Freeman. And he's
But
like,
I'd love to know, like, what do you
yeah,
feel
that's
is
kind of what it was like. And we're trying to
like
get
a very grounded,
No,
reassuring
I
man?
actually swear, like in the movie Bruce Almighty, I'm standing there and there's like a white figure and I'm standing with all these clouds and I see my family like below me and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the whole world. I'm like, I don't know, should I go back? Should I not go back? I'm like arguing with Morgan. I'm like, why? I was 26. What do I need to go back for?
What was it?
Look at this stupid life.
This is actually important for me to
No, but
understand.
listen, Owen, I was like, well, look at this stupid life I have, Morgan. I'm just a regular engineer. Why do I need to go back? I don't really want to go back to this.
Yeah.
I'm not rich and successful. Why? He's like, I'll give you an opportunity. I'm like, no, I don't know. And I was debating for like a few weeks with him in heaven. And eventually I saw my mom and my family.
What did you debate about?
Like, should I go back or not go back? But listen, so I'm looking down and I see everyone around me. Like, imagine you take my soul out and I see my dad and mom and they're crying. Like, oh, he's in a coma. And I'm like, wow, they're really sad that I'm not there. Like, they're really going to cry if I'm dead? I'm like, okay, well, I'll come back. And I shook his hand. I was like, fine, bring me back to life. And then I remember the day I woke up. It's on my YouTube channel. Oren Sharif wakes up from coma. And my friend recorded me, Daniel Contreras. And he's like, hey, Zabe, how's it going? I used to go by a different name. I'm like, hey, guys, I'm awake. I just woke up from my coma. And for everybody out there, I'm still going to do Connects, my company. That's the first thing I said, my company. I'm like, I'm going to do it. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to recover. So think about that. Even in my death, I was still thinking of my tech company. So, but then, yeah, when I came back to life, that's why you mentioned I'm so ambitious, etc. I had that one near-death experience, not even the second one. So after that experience, I really took, like, my life really just went completely. Like, that's how I became successful. Probably a few months after that, I met Bob, and then I published 7 books. I went on TV shows. I did magazines. Like, I did a lot of stuff. I really just decided I'm just going to do everything. I don't even care. I'm just going to build a bunch of inventions. Just do patents. I'll just become the next Einstein. Like, I don't even care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think. I'm just going to do everything I want in this whole world. The whole world is mine. As when I woke up. But that never really happens to people. There's only 2 ways somebody's life changed. Constant spaced repetition of a new idea, like I'm the famous Owen Cook multimillionaire, or a profound, compelling, like life event moment, like a 9/11 or a motorcycle accident, will wake you up. So I had both, the conditioning of the programming and the significant life event when I was 26. And
That's amazing.
yeah.
You know, when I had my first son, I was really, really broke. It was actually during the financial meltdown. I always say that if I understood back then what I know now about business, I wouldn't have really had a bad recession. I would have had a fun time. But at the time, I didn't know as much about business. So I was really, really struggling. It was brutal. And so I got this idea to create this program called The Hot Seat. And it was actually how I eventually dug myself out of debt, a lot of debt. But I had an unplanned pregnancy for my first pregnancy. And so what happened was I, was sitting there. And what happened was I found out too that if you actually don't, at least at that time, and I'm not exactly sure how it works today, but it probably is the same. Basically, if you don't have maternity insurance prior to getting pregnant, actually they view that as a pre-existing condition and you have to pay for the pregnancy. So for anybody who's raw dogging and gets to knock somebody up, they got to realize that, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for that pregnancy if you don't have specific maternity insurance in advance. That girl you went home with from the bar, you might have not got her on the maternity insurance. But hey, it felt better for 20 minutes. But anyway, so I found out, like, not only was I broke, but I'd have to probably spend another 50 or 100 grand to have a kid at a proper hospital instead of like in a more lower income hospital, which kind of freaked me out. It's my kid. So I was sitting there, I was super, super, super stressed. And I got this idea. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go record this program called The Hot Seat. And I actually went to Phoenix on the last few dollars that I had. And I recorded it and I fucking crushed it. I was so happy. And it was like, I felt like it was all coming together. Like my first little feeling of like a win and a little bit of dopamine and momentum that I'd had in several months, with like the recession kicking in, me having to lay off so many of my staff, like all these conversations with like people crying because they're losing their job, economy's melting down. Like, it fucking sucked, bro. Like it was like this permanent year-long nightmare that you just couldn't wake up from. You're like, I would actually have, because what happened was I lived in Hawaii at the time and I had to move back to Los Angeles from Hawaii. And I loved it. Now I prefer living in LA over Hawaii. So it actually worked out for me. But at the time I liked living in Hawaii because Hawaii is so like neon and vibrant and tropical. And so like I would have these dreams where I'd be like in the rain, like back in Hawaii, and I was like, I had this nightmare that there was this like Great Depression Part 2, like the sequel of the Great Depression, and I had to live in Los Angeles, and there was fucking smog there, and I was fucking broke, and I had to fire my staff, and I couldn't pay for anything, and then I had a kid coming in without insurance, and I'd be like, oh, it was all a dream. That was a bad dream. And then I'd wake up like back in LA, and I'm like, no, that was not a dream. That was actually reality. And then I'd like cry even more. I cried a lot during that recession. That was one of the harder things I ever went through. Now I understand business, right? That motivated me to understand business, but I didn't understand at the time. I was just kind of in my little world back then, you know, I just didn't get it. I wasn't at a paradigm. Here's the funny thing in the recession. All the answers were right in front of me. People would give me the answer. Hey, you need more money? Just do this. You need more money? Just do that. They'd give me the answer the same way that we do. We give the fucking answers, but people are not at a paradigm to hear it. I didn't have the eyes to see. I didn't have the ears to hear. I just wasn't at that paradigm. I was trapped in my own personal health limitation. That doesn't mean I couldn't have a failure now, but definitely, you know, because it could happen to anybody at any point. I don't think anyone's immune to it. But it definitely was a lack of knowledge then due to a lack of paradigm. But anyway, so I remember I recorded this product and I was driving. So I record the product, but I wake up the next day in Phoenix and I find out that the mic was dead and all this incredible impromptu footage that I recorded was gone. Now, the funny thing is I had the skill set to simply go re-record it. I knew that I had the ability to just go re-record the damn thing, right? But it was that I was just losing and losing and losing and losing. And I was kind of like in this downward spiral of losing to where it was hard for me to actually go and execute on a lot of things I had to execute on because I was in such a downward fucking spiral. That actually became my inspiration later to get it to where no matter how much negativity I'm going through, I can crush it socially because I have methods that even in my worst day, I can crush it socially. Because back then when I was recording videos about social interactions, I'd have to do that under pressure. And it was very, very hard back then because it was getting to me and it was getting in my mind. But now I know how to not let it get in my mind. I teach that. But the point being is like, I have many videos about it already out. But the point being is like, that happened. So the whole next day I was fucking pissed off. I was complaining. I was super negative. And right at the end of the day of me being fucking crazy ass negative the whole fucking day, complaining about life, complaining about this, complaining about that. And by the way, in a beautiful day in Phoenix, I had 5 or 6 of my friends there. They were all very understanding, very empathetic, very encouraging, but I just kept complaining to them and whining to them and whinging to them. And then finally, my buddy Eric takes a right turn and I look up and I see a big giant truck and I go, I'm going to die. And that thing smashed right the fuck into me. I fall unconscious. I couldn't breathe. I woke up. I woke up. I was like, you know, like unable to breathe, like unable to get a breath because I'm so banged up. Glass everywhere, blood everywhere, roll out, literally thinking I'm going to die. And then I thought to myself, well, hey, at least I released Blueprint Decoded, which I'd worked on for half a decade. I got a kid coming, so I reproduced. I guess this was meant to be it. And now I don't have to go through the recession. So, you know, so then I thought, okay, so I'm going to die. And what I realized, my epiphany in that moment was, and this is real, this is not cliche, like this is fucking real, and this impacts me to this day. The only truths in life is love. And I mean that. It's not like, it's love. Shut the fuck up, mother. But no, it's true. And it's the people who you love. In other words, like the value that you add, right? Like the good things that you did. All these little arguments and little breakups and fights and fucking like disputes. It's all a lie. You're being tricked. It's all a trick. And I even realized, I was like, I got tricked today. This was the last day of my life. And I wasted it while my friends are here. And I fucking wasted it being mad. If I'd known that this was the last day of my life, I wouldn't have been this fucking mad. I would have just enjoyed my life. That, but also the legacy that you leave. And so that's why the shift for me after that, because I actually, while I was in bed for about 2 months after that in the recession with the kid coming, it was tough. The bottom line was I still lived. And so, you know, prepared me for being in bed for several months with my broken leg later. But the point being is like the epiphany that all this other shit that you wasted your fucking time on. And that's why when I see other people like bickering and stuff, I just tune out. I'm like, my parents acted like this when I was a kid. Like, I don't want this. Like, I don't resonate with this. I just want to go either make a bunch of money, build legacy, or go have fun. And like, that's all that I want. Like, that was kind of my epiphany from my near-death experience, or what felt like a near-death experience, but ultimately wasn't, I suppose, like not as close as you got, but I thought it was. I actually thought that I was dead. You know, I actually texted people, I love you, with like shake, like my hands are all bloody. And I was like, so I couldn't even explain what had happened to people. So I just wanted like my last words to be something positive. I remember I texted my business partner at the time, who's like very close off. And he's like, I texted, I love you. And he texted like, I'm feeling the love, bro. Like no idea why that had happened. But you know, we couldn't recover. So that, I guess that was my major epiphany. It sounds like your major epiphany from that was to go live your dreams.
Yeah. so much that you just said. You know, to mention back about what you're mentioning, I think a lot of people go through this in life, you know, when they're feeling really down, or in fact, maybe they have something, like they might have some little bit of wealth or something, but they're still complaining every day. And I'll go back to another exercise that my friend Bob Proctor's business partner, Sandra Gallagher, would talk about, the gratitude exercise. A lot of people talk about gratitude, well, you got to do gratitude. I actually think it's very important because I'll never forget when Sandy mentioned, if you're not grateful for what you have, when you have it, you're not going to be able to experience it. Like you'll take it for granted. So I highly recommend everyone that's listening to me, if you're going through something right now and you're complaining, or let's say you're very rich, but you're still upset, do me a favor. Do this 10-point gratitude exercise that I do every single morning. Get out a clean sheet of piece of paper in the morning and write down 10 simple things you're grateful for in the morning. For example, it could be something such as, I'm grateful there's air outside. I'm grateful I have bed sheets. I'm grateful for my friends, my family, but write it. And what happens when you write it down, it causes you to think. And it really causes you to emotionally internalize the feeling of gratitude. And by the end of the 10th thing that you wrote down, you should, in theory, be more grateful. And you cannot carry two ideas in your mind at the same time. It's impossible. You can't have anger and gratitude. You're either angry or you're happy. You can't have two at the same time. So if you're grateful for what you have, you continue your day. And I specifically say to do that in the morning because it sets the tone for the day, and it basically grounds you for what's coming up. But I learned that exercise technique very early on. And in the evening time, I have the evening Bob Proctor 45-minute meditation subconscious thing where he speaks very nicely into the mic as saying, Owen, you're now going to relax and fall asleep. Your subconscious mind will let you program everything you desire, and you go to sleep. And I did that for about a year, and I think it definitely worked. I became quite successful. So I have, again, these little tips, tools, and techniques, but that's why I published 7 books on networking and personal development, and I develop courses if you want to go deep into this stuff, but a lot of things. I don't know where I was going with that. I think, was I answering your question?
What I'd love for you to do is go next to networking. You're a great networker.
Yeah, the networking thing, I mean, I think that came from my mom, my beautiful mother, Fazia Mack. I was able to get her a house before she left, but I watched my mom growing up. She worked in the hospitality industry right next to the University of Maryland at Best Western. She was sales manager, regular job, $75,000 per year, and she would be on the phone selling the conference rooms. Funny how now I'm actually selling conference tickets. Weird. And I would be sitting there on my lunch break in between calculus or mechanics or vibrations 3 or dynamics or something ridiculous. And I would take my break, walk to the hotel, sit in the room just like this, and I'd listen to her while I eat my lunch. And she's like, hi, my name's Fazia Mag. Welcome to Best Western. Our dates open in August. We can accommodate your group for 25 people, etc. And she'd hang up the phone. Hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. And I would go with her on calls to go knock on doors and say, hey, here's the flyer and stuff. So subconsciously, I was picking up her business trade skills, and she talked a lot. She was a professional saleswoman. And where am I going with this with my mom?
Networking.
Oh, the networking. And I think that's actually originally where I got it from. I got it from
Let's talk technique.
Yeah.
What they care about is what they can do because they don't have your mom.
So for example, I learned it from her, but those early skill sets of calling people and et cetera, but to give you tips, tools, and techniques on networking, especially if you're shy, you have to go out of your comfort zone. It's honestly, if you hired a coach, it sounds like I'm pushing me.
No,
but
it's important though that we don't go say that. I'll tell you why. Because it's tone deaf. So what's going to happen is if you keep bringing it back to that, it's going to they're going to discount the information in your mind. I've already credited you as being someone they should look up.
So
let's focus on the technique. Okay, this is important.
So the technique for networking that I know, oh man, there's so many techniques, and I wrote every 25 tips that I use every day in my book, Master the Art of Networking.
No, listen.
So
give it here.
Here's the tip number 1. Pay attention to the person you're talking to. Have eye contact. But it's difficult to have eye contact when you have imposter syndrome or you're worried or you're nervous and you're thinking about me. Don't think about yourself when you're talking. Think about this person. Think about Owen. What does he want? What is Owen interested in doing? Talk to him about what he wants. So always ask about the other person. What are their interests? What do they want to do? And the more advanced technique I teach about is you could say this one line, which I use and I teach thousands of my students, but what do you think you need help with right now, Owen, in the next part of your business? And then be quiet and listen. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you really should use both your ears and just listen to the person talk. You know, I've learned so much secret stuff from some of the most famous people in the world simply by just asking one little teeny tiny question and they'll just tell you everything. People love talking about themselves. Look at me. So if you just simply let the other person talk, just let them talk, you can let them talk themselves into a sale, into a relationship, into marrying you. I mean, you really got to learn to listen, to let the person talk about whatever they want to say. That's tip number 1. I have 25 tips.
Let's go number 2.
Okay, number 2, the second tip is, let's say you're going into a conference setting or something. This one, I have it in my book. It's called time constraints. So let's say, for example, the Ty Lopez event that we're at his mansion party, that event had an allocated amount of time. I believe it was 2 to 8 p.m. and security turns off the music and you got to get out of the house. So you really only have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You only have 6 hours counting down to quickly meet everybody there. A lot of people, I've watched this mistake so many times. They'll come to the thing and they'll just sit and they'll talk to one person for 3 hours. And I'm like, you're running out of time. This whole event's going to be over. Ty's going to leave the room. The other celebrity's going to walk away. Time constraints. Pay attention when you're entering a conference. How much time do you have left to talk to that person, to meet them? So keep that in the back of your mind. You have 60 minutes left. You have 30. Hurry up. You need to have a sense of urgency to hurry up and get to that person you need to target.
Yeah, I think people do that because they're afraid to start new conversations. So they say there is kind of like a life raft, and they don't realize the time is burning down. I even tell guys that run parties, like if you meet someone who you have a lot of chemistry with, and you feel tempted to talk to them the whole night, or who knows what you'd be doing that night together, don't.
Yeah,
like don't. Because if you paid money to build and time and energy, especially to create that party. You burn that whole night talking to that one person. You literally could have been talking to somebody else. Like if you do a proper party and you just actually just mingle, you could have dates set up for the next 2 months. Like literally the next like 50 of them. But guys don't think that deeply. They're just like, they're like in a fucking trance. Like, wake up, brother. You're an adult.
That's why you have to be trained. People don't think like that.
Sure.
They don't think I just need to hurry up. I was trained to think hurry up and be quick. I was trained by a lot of networking people. Yeah.
Okay. What's your next tip?
This 25 tips. Tip number 3 is I usually have a list of people before I go, and I've even trained New BL, any events that I ever go to at all. There's usually a roster of the people that are coming, and you should specifically, I don't want to use the word target, but you should specifically, you're going to Ty's party. Do you want to talk to him? Why do you want to talk to him? And when you do talk to him, you also have to understand you're probably only going to have one shot, and you'll never talk to him again because he's going to walk around. So in that one shot, you have a small window of opportunity, let's say 30 seconds. You better have rehearsed your pitch, talk to your dad, talk to your girlfriend and said, hey, I'm going to meet Ty. I'm only going to have 30 seconds to talk to him. What should I say? Like, well, what do you want to say? I'm going to say, I love your course. No, say something else. Like, hey, Ty, I really love your courses so much. I'm about to come up with my own courses. And like, what's your opinion on if I did this instead of this? And then the more advanced technique that I teach in my stuff is have a friend or someone record you when you're talking to that person so you can have the content. That's a little bit more advanced, but I have very specific targets at any event. I've been doing this for a decade. So if you put me in any room with like Bill Gates or Elon, I'll meet them probably within the first 30 minutes. And I already know what I'm going to talk to them about. And I'll get their phone number, their contact, their security guard's number, the bathroom person's number, everybody in a matter of minutes. And I teach people how to do this.
We know that, by the way.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you would do? Say that you're meeting Elon.
Yeah.
What kind of things? And I know that was said not literally, but let's just say hypothetically off the top of your head, what are some things that you might say to him? I know that's putting you on the spot a bit.
It's not, because I already met Elon, and I'll tell you what happened. So when I was early on in my career, I met him in like a break room, like a coffee room or something like that. And he was standing there. I've told this story so many times, just stirring coffee like in a thing. And I was very nervous when I met him because he's like a big idol. And I tapped him on the shoulder, and he turned around, he looked at me. Hey, how can I help you? I said, Elon, I'm such a big fan, etc. What do you do to de-stress? And then he's stirring his coffee. Everyone knows this. He's stirring. He's like looking up in air, thinking. And I'm looking around like, what is he thinking about? It was a pretty basic question. And he's thinking and thinking. And I thought he was playing a joke on me. Must have been 45 seconds. I'm like, is he going to answer me? And he's like, I play video games. And he just walked away. Interesting, but that was also a time that I was unprepared. Should have asked a better question. Like whenever I go to events, I ask better questions. But yeah, to mention Elon,
What would you do? What would you ask him now?
Well,
I know I'm putting you on the spot, so if I was put on the spot, I might not have the perfect answer
no,
myself.
I already know. I'm already prepared for all these people. Every single top person of Forbes 500, I know exactly what to talk to them about. There would be 3 things I need to talk to Elon about. That's the underground network. What's the underground network called? Boring company that he has. I had a concept and an idea, and I made a bid on this in Vegas after the shooting. There's like a big shooting that happened there. There was a small, God, I'm like a prodigy. The little real estate lot right next to Mirage was up for sale. And right after the shooting, nobody wanted to come to Vegas. So I went there and I met the developer who owned that lot. And my concept was to build like this sustainable tower called Connects Tower, and it was fully solar panel with all solar panels, which is actually totally doable to do. And I wanted to purchase the lot, and I think he was asking for $35 million or something. I offered him like 25. I didn't personally have the money, but I could have put it together with my investors. And I met the developer, and he was in this weird trailer house. And I'm like, hey, do you own this lot? He's like, yeah, I'm selling each parcel of lot for blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy the whole thing. He's like, okay, who are you? Where's your team? I'm like, I'm Oren Sharif. And again, belief that you are who you are. You got to walk the talk. And I say, I'll offer you $25 million on like some type of option note or something like that. I want to purchase this thing. And he's like, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, I'm going to build this huge tower, this Connects Tower, this solar powered, that's connected to Elon's underground loop system, because he only has one route, like LA and San Francisco. But if you open this route up, it would go to Vegas, and you'd have it as an attraction.
Okay, so wait, let's pause for a second, because it'll be more information people can process. But I love what you're saying. What would you say are some of the underlying principles of that way of starting the conversation with Elon that people could replicate if they don't have a tower?
Yeah, so I think my ideas are a little bit more insane than more.
Well, I think they're awesome, but I just want to look at the structure of them.
Yeah. So the structure, if you're meeting someone figure type that's iconic like that, and most people are just going to ask for a picture or something or talk. But again, to go back to what Bob said, he told me never look up or down at anybody. We're all the same. We're all the same. And I keep that concept in my head. I'm like, okay, so Elon's a normal guy. What should I ask him? So don't idolize these people in your head thinking this person is so famous, etc. Just talk to them like you would normally talk to them. So if you are meeting some celebrity figure, my personal recommendation as a networking master is if you have that one shot, like that Eminem song, you really should say something maybe perhaps profound or something maybe you were working on a certain item or dream, and ask them. Just ask them, what is it? Like, hey, I'm Owen Cook, Bill Gates, nice to meet you. I want to take all my courses and put them into Microsoft. Something a little ridiculous. I know that's ridiculous, but you might not get a chance to talk to that person again. So don't just take a picture. Don't say, I just really wanted to meet you, and stare at them. Say something like, I'm this person. I come from this background. My dream was to meet you. And I just have one question. I'm doing this in my life. What do you think about this? I'm trying to become an actor. I'm going to build this product, and ask that person. And 10 times out of 10, they'll respond to you. Yeah. So I've asked Kevin Plank. I've talked to very top level people.
So I want to give a breakdown of what I think of what you're doing, but that's just I'm going to give personal opinion here. It doesn't mean I'm correct. I'm just giving personal opinion. So some of the guys that I've seen that are just psychotically good at things like upselling, which clearly you're natural with that. And then also incredible networkers. They actually often have this very, and some guys in dating too, they have this very, very neutral demeanor where it's not necessarily that they're overwhelmingly charismatic. They're charismatic, but it's not overwhelming necessarily. But what they've done, and this is just my personal experience, I've met a lot of people, is they've stripped down the things that would cause someone's wall to go up. So like you're very, very smooth. Like even when I press on you, you'll just be like, yeah, anyway. And then you'll just like keep going, right? But it's good. No, it's really, really good. When I'm doing that, I'm trying to guide you, by the way, to get the best interview out of you. But the point being is like, I've actually, so I have like always some new epiphany every year in social interaction, right? So around 2000, more information than needed, but in 2018, my big epiphany was what I call downside removal. So rather than me working on having, say, better vocal projection or better frame control or better humor, I worked on just removing any little weird tick or thing that would like set someone off to where they felt that something weird is happening. And so just to be a little bit more like you, you know, like that's not maybe where I'm at now, but I've just done so many experiments, bro, like crazy amounts of experiments. So I kind of actually had a bit like your demeanor for about a year and just like played with it. I've done decades of experiments. Yeah. So the point being is I tried that and I found that actually my success rate went up because I could put out a little invitation like, oh, we're going to go to this after party. And like everyone would just say yes, not because what I was saying was so compelling, but I had removed like the way that most people I feel like they come at someone, they're kind of like, it's either like, hey, like, whoa, or like they're too excited or they try to play it cool. They're like, yeah, like they're playing it too cool for school. And it's like, bro, like just be normal. Like just be at that normal point. So there's another guy called, do you know Bill Walsh by any chance?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
So Bill teaches upselling. I learned some sales from Bill. He definitely helped me. And Bill also has like a similar, very, very neutral demeanor. And that guy is like crazy good at fucking sales. And he's crazy like this. Like that motherfucker is so good at sales. This guy named Bill Walsh. He has a program called Rainmaker, I think.
Yeah, I was with Bill in LA like months ago, actually.
Epic. Okay, yeah, no, I mean, I've learned a lot from this fucking guy. It's crazy. So Bill has this thing where like he'll get you to just get like a bunch of your friends. Like, he'll be like, yeah, buddy, just like invite out a bunch of your friends, right? And like this is like, you know, this guy's like gangster. Okay, this is like samurai gangster shit. He'll like just get you to invite you don't even know what you're inviting your friends to, right? So be careful. And Bill will just tell you to do this, and then he'll just walk up to them like, hey everybody, like it's Bill, and then he'll just start talking to them. And he'll pull like $100,000 like off of like a 45-minute conversation. Like he'll just get a group of like 20 people, get them in a circle, and he'll close the motherfuckers on like 100K plus just chatting to them. And he understands the mechanics of sales. By the way, talk about an idea that's very high paradigm, right? When you instead of looking at TikTok, learn about sales and marketing, and you too could just tell your friends to get 20 people together and pull 100 grand out of it. And that's the kind of shit I've seen him do again and again. It's fucking good. This dude is just on another fucking level, and I'm sure you'll appreciate the testimonial. Well, he has a similar, it's different. He's his own man, but he has a similar demeanor to you, which is like really, really chill. Like he has the ability to just be very, very chill. So all these little mechanics in your brain where you're kind of scanning for what problem there could be with what someone's saying don't get set off. So this is what I think a lot of guys also don't even get about dating is a lot of time you could be talking to somebody and they already like you, but there's an expression that they'll say like, you're doing too much, bro. You ever heard that expression? Mm-hmm. You're doing too much, homie, you know, doing too much. Yeah. And it's like, they're doing too much. And then what happens is that like that girl that already liked you, or could be a guy if you're a girl or same sex couple, whatever the case, they liked you. All you had to do was shut the fuck up. They already liked you. And just go with the fucking flow. And you don't realize there's a lot of people that like you, but you don't even know it. So you're trying to learn techniques to get people to like you because you're coming from a low self-esteem point. Well, you don't realize that if you were just normal, way more people would like you. Because like, I can tell you that for me having a social media profile, some of the things that you're saying, if someone said that to me, actually, it would not be a home run for me. But with your demeanor, I could see myself getting pulled into it because you're like very flowy, like kind of like creates like a trance state.
People tell me I'm
like
a girl.
Yeah. You're just like, hey, yo, like, hey. You know, right? And you're like,
everyone just
wow.
falls asleep and like, yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm getting like an energetic massage now. I'm happy. It makes me feel happy. Like you make him, like you're like a very naturally likable guy and I feel happy when I'm around you. That's why I wanted to come on here.
That's great.
Yeah, bro. So the thing is like, so it's like you have that demeanor. What I can tell you is, I'll tell you the big one for me, which this could have been in your list of tips anyway, but I'll just tell you one of my tips. Okay, so one of my tips is people will come up to me and it will be guys, okay? And we'll have a great conversation now. It's usually guys that know my stuff, but it could be random too. And then a common thing they say, so say we have a great conversation, we're kind of laughing, just having like an impromptu conversation out somewhere. It could be on the beach. Like I'm out on Venice sometimes. Like random dude will see me, we'll start cracking jokes and shit. We're just having a fun time. And they go, hey man, can I get your number? And what I say to them is I say, for what? Now I look like an asshole, but my thing is, bad as I am, I'm not LA enough. I haven't lived in LA long enough to be like a normal LA person who pretends that I'm going to call you back, but I don't. Like, because that's what most people in LA do, right? They're like, of course you could have my number. Of course we're going to be best friends. Of course we're going to hang out. AK, of course I'm never going to see you again. So like, that's sort of the LA thing because like people in LA, they just want to kind of be like in like, kind of like a state pump mode. So that like, you don't understand that when you're joking around with somebody in Los Angeles, and it could be for dating, could be for networking, and then you talk about meeting up again, all that actually means, like literally all that means is, let's imagine what that would be like for fun and not do it. Like, that's literally what it fucking means. Like we should like go skiing. Like, yeah. And then it's like, what kind of skiing would we do? Like, whoa. And then like, never see you again. And like, I remember I'm coming from Canada and I'm like so naive, you know? So I'd meet people out, like including guys I'm networking with. And I'd be like, yeah, we're going to hang out, right? And they're like, yeah. And then I call them on the phone. It's like, I'm being a weirdo. Like, why are you calling me? And I was like, I thought the skiing, like, we're chopping it up, right? And it's like, and it would confuse the fuck out of me. What they don't realize. So in LA, basically, plans means that you're just having fun pumping your, say, talking about some shit that you do, like, hypothetically. And then, like, actually making real logistical shit where you're not pumping your state and, like, a more serious conversation, that means that there's a 20% chance that you're actually doing it, okay? As opposed to 0.
They need to learn follow-up then. They need to set a date and
sure.
time.
Yeah, but it's, you almost want to, like, on sub level, like, pull the person out of this, like, happy state pump trance and get them, like no, like shift
plans.
gears now. Like, we're actually talking about real shit. We're not state pumping now. So the thing is with that, but that depends on your philosophy towards it, but it's one way. Another way is to have great follow-up as well as great social media, which then they see. But anyway, so I would get confused by that. So me as a Canadian and me being very naive and a little too nice, I will just tell people, well, we're not meeting up. So they're like, yeah, like we should meet up. And I go, no. And they're shocked by this. They're like, I'm like, bro, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to fucking lie to you and tell you that we're going to meet up and do the state pump LA shit. I might, be kicking it here, but I'm not like going to pull this bullshit.
How many guys try to get your number?
20, 30 a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So if I'm chatty, and I'm chatty because I like meeting people. I like chatting with them if I have time. Some of them don't have time, then they're mad, right? They think I owe to them. I gotta go, motherfucker, but if I can, I will. So it depends where I am, what day I'm out, what's going on, right? So 20 or 30 would be if I'm in an area where there's like a lot of people who know my stuff. I could also go to areas where people don't know my stuff, and it could be nobody in a given day. Usually about 5 or 6 a day. But if I'm in an area where there's a lot of people that know my stuff, it could be hundreds in a day, like literally hundreds in a day. So, and then in LA, because I've networked a lot of women, I also get hundreds of women in a day that are just making friends. So the thing is, like, when they say that to me, I'll say no. And then but then I say to them, I go, well, what are you inviting me to? Like, invite me to some shit. Like, bro, I've got 3 sons who I need to be giving more attention to. Like, are you telling me that I should ignore my 3 children so I can go out for coffee with a random man? Like, sorry, Vincent, Dylan, and Tristan, Daddy's going for coffee with random men. Like, sorry, my staff, like, you're going to make less money this year because I have this weird habit of grabbing coffee with random men. Like, you're not going to get a raise this year because I like having coffee with random men. Okay, cool. So given that that's the case, you liking this, huh? Okay, so So given that, because I'm trying to put in context, like, listen, motherfucker, like, I'm 45, okay, today. I'm not going for fucking coffee with a random man, okay? But, so what I say is, I tell them, I go, yo, I'm too fucking nice. I go, bro, if you meet somebody out, have some shit to invite them to. And then some of them get fucking mad at me. They're like, what do you mean? So you're saying that, like, to be your friend, I would invite you to some shit? I'm like, what I'm saying is I'm not going for coffee with random men. Invite me to some shit. So for me, I actually will have met many of my celebrity man crushes, many of them, and I got shit fucking ready to invite them to. I don't go, hey, like, let's, like, grab coffee, bro. Like, yeah, like, let's fucking, let me do, like, a fucking reach around while you do fucking coffee.
Who's one of your celebrity man crushes?
Many of them. You know, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, another lesson about celebrity man crush, if you run around saying it, then all of a sudden you're not going to have a lot more celebrity friends. But, because when you disclose, you're fucked. But, I'll show you the deal sometime, okay? So the point being is that I've met many celebrity man crushes. I've made friends with many of them. I invite them to my parties. I invite them to seminars. Also, I invite them to meet other people. I connect them to people. And especially if you happen to know a lot of girls, well, that's probably your easiest path, which anybody that follows my stuff knows how to do that. And if they haven't, it's because they're fucking stupid because they've been shown fucking everything. So fucking use it, okay? So the point being is like, yeah, like, hey, celebrity man crush, like, I've got 20 girls that are meeting me for we're doing a dinner party on the beach, and you just go get a bunch of like, tell me if you'd like an invite like this, right? You got like 20, you go to like Malibu, you get like 20 plastic tables, you put like white coverings on all of it. You put a bunch of pillows on the ground. You put candles all down it. You invite like 20 cool people, You do it on a perfect weather day. It's on the beach. There's good food. Music's going. Would you come? I don't know if I believe her, but we'll see. Okay, so.
Yeah, me and my friends do that all the time.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so like say that you had an invite and like maybe you know what kind of people are coming and you have a sense of what you're getting into. Maybe there's pictures of it and it's real. And if the person's also minimized downside would be another factor. Like you're not getting creeper vibes off them. So no creeper vibes, minimal creeper vibes. And answer me honestly, by the way. If it's a no, tell me a no, okay? No creeper vibes, neutral, laughed, didn't grab you, maybe even like joked around a bit to the point that like they kind of pulled back a bit, so you know that they're not going to like come on strong. And then from there, you know who's coming, you know what you're getting into, and it's a scarce invite. Like it's not just anybody can get invited to something like this. What's your statistical chance of jumping an offer like that?
What do you mean, like going for it?
Yeah. If not in a relationship.
Yeah, not a relationship, more like a cool vibe. I like to always start with like friendship.
For sure. So what are the chances that you take and be responsive to that invite?
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10.
Cool. Amazing. Okay, well, thank you. Are you just saying that or is that real?
No, that's real.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like obviously I want to go for what you just said.
What'd I just say?
Coffee with
Coffee with a random man.
Yeah, because it's not random. It's like it's personal, it's intimate. So it's like I'll go for it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that'd be an example of an offer. Okay, so what guys don't understand is like they're like, oh, I'm unattractive, and it's like okay, but it could also be that your fucking offer sucks, bro. You know, right? It's like you should have an offer good enough that whether they're attracted to you or not, they may say yes to the offer, and then they can see you in a more flattering light with you and 20 of your coolest fucking friends having a great time, and they want to be part of that rather than knowing nothing about you, and you're just another fucking like. I mean, like I said, I might have 20, 30 people a day easy trying to talk to me. How many, if you go out in a populated area, how many guys are trying to talk to you or holler at you?
Usually the whole room.
Yeah, the whole room.
There's only a few.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter that the whole room talk to you. You should just talk to me because we have a special connection. We have a very special connection. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so, right?
That's what it's like.
Okay, so, yeah, but you see my point, right? Like, the word connection in general is the word of a fucking loser. It's like, connection is something that you build over time, sure, and it's real, and it's powerful, and it's beautiful, but it's like, it's amazing, like some guy who's a 6 wants to go to a girl who's a 10, and they have a connection. Okay, well, how about this? You're asking her to go down 4 points in attractiveness. Why don't you go date a 2 then? Does a 2 have a connection with you, Mr. 6? But they never think about that, whether that's status, whether that's beauty, whatever that is, right? So the thing is like, you're next in the podcast circus coming up sometime, by the way. You'll have to tell us. No? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
She's got a good voice for podcasts.
She has a great voice. Yeah, that's why we're bringing it hers for the voice. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. That was terrible. Okay. Delete. Okay. No, you do have a great voice, but
You do.
yeah. Like there'd be a reason why that episode would be highly viewed. Let's just put it that way. So
Nubia's voice.
yeah. Okay. Bad. Okay. So anyway, little miscalibration on my part.
We'll put together that event in Malibu. Actually, we'll do
Okay,
it.
well, I've done those and they're beautiful and they have a very, very high response rate. And it's not rocket science and anybody could do it with some fucking plastic tables and not having deadbeat loser friends who won't bring a little bit of fucking steak or a little bit of candles. Because like, well, I'll show up. You got to bring something to the picnic other than your fucking appetite, homie. No, I'll just show up. No, you're not. Like, by the way, I teach this to students on my trainings. I'm like, we're going to do a party this weekend and each of you is chipping in. You're all chipping in. They're like, how come you can't just pay? I'm like, no. I can pay for this shit in less time than it takes me to tell you to chip in on it. But I want you to be trained that when you do an event, you get your friends to fucking chip in on it. You shouldn't always be paying. So you should actually, once you've chipped in, then you'll have the balls to tell other people to chip in. Because events have to be sustainable. You have to be able to sustainably do it. If you have an average income, you've got to be able to sustainably do it. So you've got to get your homies to chip in. In fact, if you organize the whole damn thing, that's your contribution because that's your time. But anyway, so point being is like, yes, like the generation of incredible offers is amazing, right? You know, if I say to a celebrity man crush, like, oh yeah, here's like the little parties that we do on the beach. And he's like, damn, bro, like beach party. It looks fucking sick. It's beautiful. There's beautiful people there. The guys are cool. There's a higher chance that they're going to come. Right? How many times have I had it where, a guy said to me, hey, I've got a bunch of girls with me, come out. And sometimes I'm in a relationship. I say no. Sometimes I'm busy with work. I say no. But sometimes I just had a breakup and I'm fucking lonely. And I do say yes to a random man. And I wound up becoming friends with that random man. I remember one random man that did that, just invited me out with a bunch of girls. Next thing you know, I let him host a party at my house. So he became friends with me at random. We still kick it to this day. I love the fucking guy. Got to bring him on the pod sometime. So the point being is like a great fucking offer. Like look at something like, for example, our free events. Like make a good offer. Make an offer where you're actually a leader in that environment. Like if I want to say, oh, I'm coming to New York, buy my shit, bro. Nobody gives a fuck about your shit. But what they do care about is a super badass networking event with like-minded people where I paid a bunch of money to actually put on the event, and then they can come and attend. I'm the leader in that environment, that I'm going to be portrayed in the best light. Look, even Lamborghini, if you buy a Lamborghini, they do Lamborghini events. And literally, like, you drive out to, like, you know, Agora Hills, and it's beautiful out there. And then you walk down the thing, and there's, like, all these, like, classical Lamborghinis. And you're like, wow, that's, like, the 60s Lamborghini, the 70s Lamborghini, the 80s Lamborghini. Then there's other Lamborghini owners there. And then they unveil the new Lamborghini, and everybody gets in a circle. And then they pull it off, and the girls pull it off. And then everybody claps, and there's a little movie about Lamborghini. And guess what they do? They sell $1 gazillion in new fucking Lamborghinis because they're portraying it in a positive light instead of just being, like, at some car lot, like, oh, look at this, like, average piece of garbage Lamborghini that we're going to pester you to come and get instead of making it exclusive. So many people, they don't make their time exclusive. They don't make their energy exclusive. And they're like, well, they should just like me for the fucking connection. Fuck your connection, bro. You're fucking lazy. The word connection just means I'm fucking lazy and I have no forethought. It drives me fucking nuts. So the thing is, like, I'm always just saying to myself over and over and over, what does this other person want? Now, I'm not necessarily going to do that in all aspects of my life, but if I'm meeting somebody new and I want to pull them in, I'm saying to myself, well, how do I meet them where they're at instead of just me trying to take what the fuck I want? But there's other elements to it too. For example, while you also want to offer something they want, you have to show there's a screen. You can't just let them in. You see what I'm saying, right? Like it has to be something they want, but no, it doesn't work like that. Like you just just lavish with all the shit that you want. You also have a certain standard that you're expecting as well. Otherwise, you're just a codependent. Right? You're just somebody who's going to be drained fucking dry. So that's sort of how I think of it, is within a context of like body language, vocal tone, deliberate and intentional couple-year process for a lot of these guys to remove all weird tics and shit that are throwing people off. Having some charisma, which can get people laughing, but I would pick somebody with less things that are pushing people away and less charisma, but nothing that pushes people away, over someone with a lot of charisma, but shit that is pushing people away. Also little moments where you're talking to that person where you show that you understand what they're dealing with, that you're not just in your own little head wanting what you want. Like, I just want what I want. Like, I just want money, okay? I just want to have sex, okay? Right? And it's like, no one gives a fuck what you want, bro. What they want is what they want. But including what they want is not you just lavishing them with shit, but that you also have a standard, because otherwise that means you give it to everyone, which even then, if it's objectively worth a lot, it's still fucking worthless because you don't put a price on top of it. And so many people that you see have never paused and just taken a moment to actually take stock of this stuff. And so as a result of that, they'll never bring anyone better into their lives. Now, here's what they do then. Then they say, well, I don't even care because, like, I just want to meet, like, real people, as if that discounts that somebody who might be busy and has limited bandwidth, even just someone with 3 children is busy, let alone 3 children in a business, 3 children in business plus a social media presence, 3 children plus a business plus social media presence, plus lifelong friends that they haven't fucking called back, ex-girlfriends that they're still friends with that they like to call back, new girls that they like to spend time with, but somehow, if they're real, they should shove that aside to make time for you when they know nothing fucking about you. So my thought there is, part of if you're so real, why don't you, in a real way, respect where that person's coming from? Use your theory of mind to project into what they're probably dealing with, the limitations on their time, their energy, their focus. Have respect for that, and then create something that is compelling for them. Have a great way to start a conversation. Have a great way to keep generating the conversation, including humor, free association, not freaking them out, and then have a great fucking offer, and then just like kind of put it out there like a little bit, like maybe like 5 or 6 different offers, and you kind of just like throw it out a little bit, and like maybe they jump on that one. Like one for me back in the day was like, I used to have a free guest pass at cryotherapy place, which nobody had ever tried at that time. It was kind of new. So I'd be like, oh, you have a free membership, like at cryo, you could come. Or no, I don't even say you could come. I go, I like cryo. They go, what's cryo? I show them a little video of me at cryo. The girls that work at the cryo are like, Owen. So now the girls are like, okay, this guy's not psycho, or at least less chance, right? So you're showing that kind of a thing. So now they're seeing video footage of it so they know what they're getting into. They don't want to hear you talk and talk and talk about it. They want to see it. Use your phone, bro. Modern technology. Wow, bro. Use your fucking phone. Why do people come to free events? Because I show videos of the free events. I even have videos where I show what it looks like when you walk in and what to expect when you walk in, so they're getting a full sense of it. Then what I do is so maybe I throw that out. They don't care about the cryo. Maybe I mention hiking. They don't care about the fucking hiking. Maybe I mention a party. Almost all of them like the party. Photography is a huge one. Get a fucking camera. Yeah, we like to shoot photos. Yeah, we have a lot of fun shooting photos. Get it to where your house is like a little mini party all the time. Like I often have like regular girls here that are my real genuine friends who I do not hit on, who will tell other girls, no, he never hits on me. I don't even know why, but he never fucking does. He just likes to have fun. So other people come up and feel comfortable. When they feel comfortable in that environment, now you don't even have to hit on anybody. You're just being yourself, having a fun time. And if they like you, they can choose you. And it's like, well, why can't I just hit on them? Well, because bro, if you have enough there, some of them are going to like you. So you're not thinking three-dimensionally. So this is, I have a problem with this fundamentally, because it's not that I care that people can't get networking down or their dating life down or social life down. That's fine. It's up to you if you're introvert, extrovert, whatever. But it's the lack of using your fucking brain and how that's going to translate into you failing to take care of your health, failing to take care of your money, because how you're showing up there is probably how you're showing up in other places. So it's a general thought process. I don't care so much if everyone applies that thought process to everything, but they should have a thought process for how they attack life. And via that process of attacking life, they will find the success that they want.
I totally agree with you. You're definitely the OG. You have so much wisdom. We just sit here and unpack this the whole night.
Thank you, bro.
I don't have anything to add to that.
We need a little bit more networking out of you before I let you out here.
Okay. Well, what other things should I discuss?
Tip number 4.
Oh my God, I can't even remember anything right now. Let me think. I mean, I agree with everything you said in regards to that, but again, it sounds salesy, but this is the whole point of having somebody that's professionally trained in networking and that has spent thousands and thousands of dollars and decades of experience. This is where mentorship just, I'm telling you, trumps experience sometimes. It's just you have somebody and you can struggle your whole life trying to do this. And I think, Owen, you talk about this, you got to just get out there in the field and learn. The best way to learn networking is to go and do it. Just go out there and talk. I think somebody gave was it in the Mystery Method book that he had? But he's like, I want you, like, it was some book I read. I think it was in The Game with Neil Strauss. And he's like, every day you need to go out and you have to talk to 10 people, like 10 women. When you're at the grocery store, talk to the cash register lady. Be like, hey, Nancy's your name. You got nice hair, Nancy. Great. Blah, blah, blah. And then just ask her, you want to go to dinner? But you have to write that down. I might have done that when I was like 19, but that's one of the examples of like tip number 4 is to execute and actually go out there and practice the lines, the scripts, whatever. But then genuinely, I agree with you regarding the, don't hit on the person, just be yourself. And I agree up to a point, be yourself. But what if you suck a lot and you are yourself, and because you're yourself, here's all your results, and you just really are sucking? Again, time to hire someone to help you kind of maybe just bring out the better parts of you that you're not expressing properly. So that's where someone like yourself or me would come in and help hold your hand and maybe guide you to the right way so you could achieve the level of success that myself and Owen has had. So
what were some of your biggest tips as far as people's demeanor? I think one thing I like about you is, like, when you network, you'll go, and one thing I think that you're showing here is so I actually teach this where I've taught in Blueprint Decoded. I said that there's 2 different types of people. So there's people that have amazing social calibration, and that social calibration allows them to see the other person and to become aware of how they're affecting the other person, and they're not tone deaf to the tone of the room. So that calibration helps them. But then at the same time, because they have that calibration, they also have limiting beliefs, right? They're like, oh, this person doesn't like me, or, oh, they're responding negatively, and then they kind of shut down. Then there's people that are the opposite, where they're in some cases uncalibrated, but they have beneficial blind spots. And those beneficial blind spots make them a little bit more tone deaf, but it makes them fucking persistent. And I can remember one of my buddies who had incredible beneficial blind spots. I remember we were out with 2 girls one night, and I was like, look, like, this is going nowhere, my man. Like, I'm out of here. Have a good night. And he was like, no, it's awesome. And I'm like, okay. Well, sure enough, he started dating that girl. So he was right. And that was the power of just like absolute total self-belief. I actually believe that you have absolute total self-belief, which I think is I think one of the things that people sort of witness in our conversations, like, I keep telling you, like, stop pitching all the time, but you just keep doing it. But one of the things I think is interesting about that is it just shows like how you'll just keep putting that out there. Like nothing's gonna stop you. You're gonna keep doing it.
It's just
right?
the way it is.
And I bet you that it has in some cases turned people off, but I bet you in other cases it's made you a lot of money.
It's because I'm that person. I'm that person that doesn't believe. Everyone has been in that position where like, I don't believe any of this is true. It's me. That first conversation I had with Bob, I literally told his coach, Arash, I said, Arash, you sound like a great guy. Bob sounds great, but this is BS. I don't believe you. You're scamming me. And he goes, excuse me? Give me a second. Takes out his phone, 3-way calls Bob Proctor. It's the first time I talked to him. He says, give me a second. Hey, Bob, I got a client here. He thinks we're all scammers. We don't believe you. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm going to connect you right now. And I'm sitting in my car, and he goes, hello, this is Bob Proctor. I'm like, hey, Bob. He goes, what's your name? I'm like, Owen. He's like, what do you do? I'm like, engineer. He's like, what do you want to do with your life? I'm like, become like you. And so, I mean, I was that person that didn't believe. And I just keep reiterating, like, I'm not saying buy my course, etc. Although I'm pretty sure you guys probably want to now, considering my success. But it's you really, really have to, when I'm telling you guys, find a mentor, find someone like, connect with me, like seriously, actually connect with me. DM me on Instagram at Orange Sharif, find me. Like, it's very easy to connect with me or my team. And like, let me help you. I can help you.
So let me show you something on the pause, okay? So what you've done here is you've committed the ultimate sin on a podcast, which is—
let me help you.
Well, it's not that. Helping people is great, but you have a chance to help them here. And you've actually had some great segments. But what you've also done is you're continually going back to pitch. So I'm going to teach you something today, okay? So you want to think about it like in life you have to have a combination of being a great giver and a great receiver. And you are, by the way, a great giver. In fact, when we hung out, I saw what a great giver that you are. But here, I noticed that in this environment, it kind of activated the more receive part, but you are giving too. I'm including wanting to give props to your mentor, which I love that, by the way. But you're going into that kind of like receiver mode. And you have to understand that like with the people that follow my stuff, they will see through that a mile away. It actually will alienate clients. It actually will. But I've continued to try to guide you back to like the value that I saw in you when I brought you back here, okay? But the thing is, what I think is interesting about you, what I think they're witnessing is someone who truly has no fucks given. Like, you truly, like, no matter how many times I tell you, you don't give a fuck. This man has no fucks given.
It's true, because I've survived death twice. And
I see that.
And after that, it really doesn't matter anymore. And after it,
if you really listen, that's the big epiphany of this podcast.
And I'll tell you again, and it's a little deep and sad, but when I was burying my mother, I realized this is it. This is what happens at the end. I don't really care what Owen thinks of me or anybody.
No, I love you, bro.
But
in truth,
But it doesn't matter. None of it matters. All the people's opinions, everything that's happened in your life. At the end of the day, you're going to be gone. You can't take anything with you, like my mom said. Your money, your house, your cars, someone else is going to use it. So the people's opinions, when I talk and I speak, I agree with you that I say, like, maybe no, I care about people's stuff, but at the end of the day, I really don't actually care what people think at all about me. You might think I'm crazy, I'm a scammer. It doesn't matter to me anymore.
No, I don't think that at all. I know you. But
I'm saying to other audience that have haters.
Yeah, but what I would say is that, but what I would tweak, so keep that part of the no fucks given in the shit. So I teach shamelessness. I love the shamelessness that you're literally like, this is one of my favorite episodes I've ever recorded because you're so fucking shameless. Like, it's crazy to watch. Like, I'm witnessing something fucking wild here. Like, this is fucking wild, bro.
Really? This is just me every day.
But it's absolutely so shameless. But the thing is, you don't care. But what I try to hammer with people is that you have the shameless side, but you've also got to calibrate it. So imagine that you'd come in here and let's say that we had just timed the CTAs a little bit different, where we'd have, so what we'd want to do is we'd want to stack really, really, really hard-hitting epiphanies and show the depth of the content that you have. And then at that point, you kind of get them in there like at a very, very strategic standpoint, very strategic, as opposed to machine gunning it. Because what'll happen is people start tuning out, right? Or they start to turn it off. And this is the same thing that I teach people with social skills and with dating particularly, is like when you're meeting somebody out, at some point you do have to like make a plan to meet up again or make a plan to go somewhere. And like, you got to do it. Like, there's no way around it. And if you're a man, you got to kind of just do it. That's your role, right? That's just, you can't ask her to do it. That's not fair. She may, a lot of them do. But the point is you can't expect it. Especially if she's to be in her feminine. But at the same time, it really is years of, and this is why I tell people to go out a lot and to practice a lot. It's years of calibration and getting that balance of that. It's like a balance of value to CTA. And that's like the big epiphany. So it's what you want to do is you want to have like your best stuff like right there, similar to having like a great offer. You want to have your best value. And that would be another thing I'd relate to the audience is like always have incredible social value right there on the drop of a fucking hat. That makes people fucking love you. And then pair that with a lot of what you have with shamelessness, but also not setting people off because your demeanor is so chill and calm and cool and collected. And then add to that a phenomenal fucking offer. And if you can just put those pieces together, you will fucking smash, bro.
Do you agree, Nubiel? You agree with his feedback? I'm really taking your feedback seriously. And thank you. Maybe you could help me work together on that. That'd be great. I've been waiting to meet you, Owen. I'm so glad we got a chance to do that. But to just touch up on the last part where I'm saying, let me help you. I wasn't saying that as a plug. It's because somebody helped me. Somebody did that to me. And I also understand a lot of people are watching on their computers, and I know what they are feeling. Like, this guy has everything. I can't do it. And like, why is he telling me to hire someone? Because if I just listened to Bob earlier and he's like, hire me as your coach, I'm like, no. And then I waited years and years and years, and I finally did. I should have just listened. But so just listen to me. Somebody helped me. Somebody helped me get out of this situation. Somebody literally pulled me out of my miserable, sad, emotionally, spiritually broken life I had, and actually pulled me out, showed me what the world is like, and said, you can either go back or you can stay with me. Which one do you choose?
And then I think the big key to that is then we want to show some of the things that pulled you out. Do you see what I'm saying? That was like the major
moment that they pulled
but I
me
think
out.
that you struggled a bit with that today. Like, and so that would be my encouragement for you would be have some of the and it doesn't mean that you have to give away always all the whole secret sauce, but you want to be able to show people examples. Like for being with RC, for example, I put out piles of real life interaction footage. Like I showed the whole motherfucking stories in the free videos.
I watched them all.
Yeah, thank you, bro. But then what I would do is I would say, well, if you want me to personally take you out, we'll make that happen. Or or if you want me to go deeper,
maybe make that an offer.
You make so you can create things like accountability, mastermind groups, or programs that go like way deeper, things like that. Phone coaching, Zoom coaching. So that's where I kind of calibrate the free line. That's sort of like a YouTube thing. Like to blow up on YouTube, it's funny because I had another buddy who's deep into internet marketing, and I remember I said to him, he had this really interesting conference about how to do branding, really cool conference. So I brought him on my YouTube channel, and I said, hey, can you share a little bit with how it is that you that you do branding? And he's like, and he goes, well, without revealing the secret sauce, you could get better at branding. Get in the conference. I go, you're not understanding, brother. YouTube won't give distribution to promo. So YouTube, what it's doing, it doesn't just connect you to your subscribers anymore. See, back in the day, if you had an email list, and even email won't even always do it these days, but if you had an email list back in the day, you had a certain open rate. And so you could put very aggressive promotions in there or sales ads or things like that. And it would actually wind up, it would get the distribution, right? But the thing with YouTube these days is like, if I put out like say a straight promo video, that actually doesn't work anymore. And we've got, bro, historically, we got some baller fucking sales videos. Cause if you actually look at the base level structure of sales copy, like we know that cold and we could do all that stuff. But if you try that on YouTube now, if your channel averages 30,000 views per video, you put out a straight sales ad, YouTube will downrate. It's got AI. The fucking AI knows it's a sales ad, downregulates it. It knows it's a sales ad, first of all, because it's looking at what's being said. But in addition, the fans are clicking off of it and they're seeing the link that is being constantly pushed to. So they know. So they're like, don't give this distribution. So your viewership will be low. So a solution, for example, like what I'll do is we do 6 figures a month in digital sales just by me doing like a full podcast. I introduce it for about 3 minutes. I do about a 2-minute pitch, and then I go into like an hour or two of value. That will do distribution of, my channel on a high end. These days, because I had a way bigger channel back in the day, but these days, because I nuked it back in the day. These days we do maybe 30K views a video-ish. And if I do a video like that, I might do 15. But if I go, now you're going to have all these fucking idiots that complain about any kind of sales because they're like, well, can I just get all my free videos, but you just don't make any money and you're broke? Those guys are fucking morons. You don't want to placate those guys. Those guys have no concept of value, what value is. But you also have to understand that there is a balance, and that balance is what allows the video to get distribution and causes people not to click off. Now, from there, you want to have a lot of videos that are just straight fucking content, like pure fucking content. Because if you come on a channel like this and you just load it with value, but just the perfectly timed CTAs, that's where you see the subscribers. And we can actually monitor this. Like we can actually see your YouTube channel, and we'll list you like in the comments. We'll list you like in the title and everything with an @ symbol. But you'll see it will hamper your increased subscriber rate because of the fact that people will see that it's too many CTAs, and then they will actually feel that you'll do that even in person. So that's the thing, is like and this lesson of value to calls to action, like give to take in effect, it also is also at play in dating. It's in play in social interaction, where there's a certain amount of value that that person has to receive from you before a CTA. And it's a escalation ladder. So for example, like, okay, I meet out my man crush celebrity, right? Not a literal man crush, I'm straight, but I say it as a joke. So I meet him out. So what am I gonna do? First of all, I'm gonna bypass all of his autopilots, right? So I'm not gonna say I'm some super fan or anything. I'm gonna get him cracking up. I'll acknowledge that I know him, not to be weird, but I'm just gonna get him cracking up. Now he's cracking up. Then what I'll do is I'll lay back a bit, get him to qualify himself to me. So that way he's putting in a little bit of work so that he understands that he's got to add something to it too. I'm not just an easy mark. Then, because now he can't categorize me in all his little bitch boys. Then what I'm going to do is I've got a good offer. That offer is a CTA, but the escalation ladder is a CTA to something even fucking better, okay? And I'm specific in what they're going to get, and I'm specific in logically what it is and emotionally what it is. Then they're going to come there, and they're going to see me in my most flattering possible environment, which is an environment of my curated friends. Very, very, very cool guys that they want to be a part of. They want to know those guys because they fall in love with your friends too. Frankly, I'll introduce to my friends. They're a better fit. I don't care because there's abundance. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to have any pressure to talk to them. Why? Because it's my group. They're going to want to be part of it. So you've got to create an offer where they want to be part of something like that. So it's not just about hammer, hammer, hammer. Come on. It's about actually examining what you're inviting them to, and then having something where the offer does the work for you to an extent. Now, to be clear, I can meet somebody down at a bar on any given night, pump, fun, and say, let's go. And that can happen, and I've done that, and I know how to do it, right? So it's not that that can't happen, but that there is amateur hour compared to having real strategy. So if I'm in Vegas for a night, or if I'm in Miami for a night, sure, let's go. I don't have an offer ready. We're going out, babe. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna make something happen, right? But we don't have to stop there. We can take it deeper. So that'll be something that I'd love to talk to you about later. You know, it's like how to deepen that for you. I think that would be the next level.
I'm very interested in that, actually. It'd be great to have the legendary Owen Cook help me with brand. Just a quick question I had, and I actually been discussing this with Nubiel, is like I want to do when I get back to DC is like these networking, kind of similar to elevator nights, but like every other night. And it'd be on Eventbrite, very simple platform. And we already tested this in LA, pop-up event when people showed up. And I hired a girl from this event, and she paid $25. Now she's director of sales and marketing, Jasmine. But what's your idea on like, here's the funnel, okay? Here's the concept I had. We're going to do Eventbrites every night of the week, entrepreneurship, networking masterminds hosted by Owen Sharif and his team, okay? And it's just, maybe it's a 3-tier thing. It's like a free, and then like a medium is like $20, you get food. $25 is you get access to some of my network, and like $99 you get access to my private WhatsApp group with like half of my team. We're going to analyze your business, and my themes and topics and the niche that I want to focus on, Owen, I'd like your opinion, is networking tips and tools and techniques, but then also focused around personal development. So I'd be selling my personal development courses that I was trained by Bob Proctor. At the same time, I'd be selling my networking courses that I need to build out actually. And then the third thing is my products or services, like my software application connects. And then specifically from Pace Morby, building a community. He has a community called Sub 2 Community, and everyone has these Sub 2 shirts. It's a very big community of real estate people. So why don't I develop a community of connects networkers that are like pro people, and everyone associates the brand Connects to Owen Sharif to like, oh yeah, I'm with Connects. I know how to be a pro networker. And you send this guy out and he's like one top guy, kind of like your guy. What's your opinion on if I start doing these events every night
so a couple
to sell some?
Okay, so a couple of breakdowns. Okay, so first of all, okay, so you want to have some kind of a list. So that's the beginning is the list, right? So the list is basically the magnet that attracts people to want to learn, right? So most videos that I'm releasing, whether it's my seminar videos or whether or not it's my videos that I shoot outside, that is just a value mega bomb. Okay, so when they're getting value mega bombs of some kind, now they're beginning to pay attention. Okay, but to be fair with events, that value mega bomb could also just be that you're known in the city by cool people in the right networks, and you have funnels to get those invites. Then the other thing too, so you have to understand, like here in LA when we do parties, it's not like the fact that we have a Hollywood Hills mansion and the fact that we have like a DJ, security, food, drinks, all that stuff. Like you'd think that would be enough to get people to come up. But what you got to understand is out here in LA, there's competing parties. Like there's other parties with other baller mansions, oceanfront mansions, fucking full-on estates. Like for example, I've lived in full-on estates, but this is like a super baller house, but it's not an estate. I'm up in the hills. We don't have estates up here. So if I'm trying to compete just on money, let's say we did Ty's party. Ty's party was at a mega estate, right? He was like, that's one of the biggest houses in all of LA. So if I'm trying to compete just on money, even at this house, which is a multi-million-dollar house, that's not enough here because they're like, I don't care that you have a house. Like I've been on an estate. I don't give a fuck. So if we're going to compete, we're going to compete on being more fun than the estate party. So I take my lessons from like Brazil, South America, Mexico, Africa, where people are loose and people are fun. So what I'm going to do is I have female friends that are like really, really, really either promiscuous or really, really fun or really, really loose. They love to dance. So like, my old friend Caroline, I mean, she was like bisexual. She'd fuck hundreds of guys, right? I was like, damn girl, like you're out of control, right? Like I love the girl to death. She's actually has a kid now. She's doing great. But at the time she's out of control. But she would go around to all the girls at the party and be like, God, I'm so horny tonight. Like, who do you like? I like you. She'd be making out with the girls. So they're feeling in a non-judgmental zone just from Caroline being there, okay? I never slept with Caroline. Great girl though. We cuddled. I never slept with her. What a great, incredible woman. But the thing is, what an asset. So Caroline would go around doing that. And then and she just did it on her own. Like you didn't even have to tell her to do it. She just loved it. So slept with every friend I had. So then from there, I'd have to warn him to like strap up, bro. I was like, strap up, motherfucker. Do not get her pregnant. You're not gonna know who that is. But anyway, so she liked to party, right? So you have a girl there who likes to party. I'm fucking crazy ass fun. Like I'm fucking dancing. I'm being a fucking idiot. I'm having fun. I'm laughing. And I'm deliberately saying things that like kind of, basically to show I don't give a fuck and that I'm having fun, just like the crazy shit that I can say. So my goal at an event is to get it where everyone becomes similar to my seminars where I want people to be unstifled. I want to get everybody unstifled. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick special angles, like which DJ that I'm bringing. Sometimes you can even have like a puppy petting zoo come up and literally like the girl's like, oh, there's going to be puppies there, things like that. Maybe you have a couple celebrity friends. If you live in LA, you can network, stuff like that. So then what you do is you change the angle every single time. So you know your competitive advantage and you know the angle. So my competitive advantage is that even though I've run literally $1 million parties, we actually used to compete with Hugh Hefner against the Playboy Mansion for best partner in all of LA, the most expensive party. It was $500K to $1 million a party. I had a partner who, not a romantic partner, but a business partner who I did that with, and he would pay for all of it, by the way. I provided all the work, he provided all the money. So he'd pay $500,000 to $1 million per party. Amazing networking. Those parties were fucking fun, and they were legendary, and it made us look mad cool. But let me tell you something. The parties that we do here are more fun, and people are having more success. So they're just more fun. So I understand my angle that I'm not competing on money, even though we're in a Hollywood Hills mansion, but I'm not competing on money because there's bigger mansions. I'm competing on what? Fun. My personal advantage is fun. Then from there, we do different angles. What I would ask you is, my unique advantage is fun, because that's just how I am. What would be your unique advantage, and what would be the themes that you could change? Because once people have come once, like even after you've been at Ty's all day, if he doesn't change the theme and he had another party tomorrow, we wouldn't go because we already went. You might go because you're here.
Right,
yeah, so you got to change the theme, and then you got to know what's like Ty's unique angle is entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneur networking. And then he would change a theme. What is your unique angle, would you say, and what theme would you add to it?
Well, my thing I've been discussing with newbies, I think we would do actual like workshops where, and I've never seen anybody do this. I would bring, even as someone on stage, but I'd bring people up to stage. I'm like, okay, so you're the shyest person in the room, come stand up here. And I would physically move them, like stand right here and just start talking to this guy, and I'm going to want to talk to you. This is how I do it. Watch everybody. And I'd slowly scoot over there, tap on their shoulder, turn, and I would literally explain, like hold their hands. This is how you network, like an actual workshop, interactive. And then I would walk in the audience, and then I would form groups of people around them and then interact with each other. That's a very different networking
It is dope.
event than just event. You're
dope.
bringing someone on
Yeah,
stage.
let me add to it a bit too. What I would do is I would make it like one of the things that I love today's event. I'm very grateful that I went. It was a seminar that we went to. But what I would change again,
Should have
loved
done
it,
more Q&A.
loved it. But what I would change would be get people moving.
Yeah.
The people are sitting
Still for
and,
a long
and
time.
everyone's stiff and a little bit tense and kind of like tense energy in the room. Like you could feel the tension with a knife and everyone's shy. You got to loosen people up. You got to get it moving. I learned a lot of that from Tony Robbins actually.
Yeah.
He gets people fucking moving. So the thing is that get people moving. But what I like is also that you're introducing people to each other. So people that are very, very shy that need a structure to actually get out of their shell, you could provide that. I think that'd be a great angle.
Yeah. You should,
Structure to get out of their shell.
you should be one of the speakers at one of the workshops.
I'm down.
Maybe
I'm
in
super down.
October, I'll set the whole thing up, and I'll have my Connects workshop. Nubia will be there. And the main speaker will have fireside chat with Owen Cook up on stage for 20, 30 minutes.
And we'll get it moving.
And then we'll have an interactive workshop.
And we'll find Caroline.
Where Owen Cook will come and he'll meet you a little bit. They're like, what? Sold out event. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Now, from there, how would we keep changing the themes, though? So that there's something new, something fresh, so that if they've been, they're likely to come back again, something fresh. You need something fresh to keep them
The
coming.
first one would be like based on like entrepreneurship stuff. And the second thing would be like, well, this is specifically just for dating events. So Owen is actually going to go deeper into dating. And then the third event is going to be like, this third event, everyone has to come in like a Hawaiian outfit. And everyone's dressed up in Hawaiian outfits, and it's just like funny. Or like the next thing is an '80s theme. That's all I could.
Yeah,
What-
outfits.
What do you think?
Outfits work well. The girls especially love themes. They love it. But it's amazing how like become a doctor, meh. But a theme, we're all wearing
I have to go. I have to
pajamas.
cancel my plans and go to this doctor
Yeah,
party.
because they want to have fun. Right? They want to have fun. So the thing is that I would say themes is great. I'm personally always like a little bit less partial to themes where the people don't own the stuff already. Like I want to pick a theme where like they've already got that shit. Like even some of these like white parties, I'm like, who the fuck has like white pants sitting here? You know, like I'll do them here or there, but like I'd prefer to move off them. But you could do some great white parties. I've seen them. I've been in them. But basically, yeah, any kind of like costume, but you don't want to make it an impediment to going. Also things like different theme nights, different things that you're showing, different guests. But you do have to alternate the stimulus. Why do people like staring into a campfire? Because the stimulus is changing. So you do have to keep changing the stimulus. You'll notice in all my videos, I keep changing clothing. I change environments. I shoot videos in different cities. People need to get changing stimulus. And failure to understand that, it's like, well, they should just watch my stuff. And it's like, cool, then don't meet them where they're at. And
It
you'll have
gets
less of an
boring.
audience.
It's stale after a while. That's what your point is you're trying to make. So we have to do different themes each time we have an event.
It definitely helps. Well, what it means that you don't have to keep replacing your list all the time. You have higher list retention. It's nice to be able to have some people come back again and again, not just like always having to like get new people, get new people, get new people, get new people. It's like you want new offers to give to the same people, so they'll keep coming back.
But you do the upsell at the event. So this is like a low ticket thing. It's like a free event or like a maybe a paid VIP. But then at that thing, after the thing's over, I'm like, by the way, if you want me or Owen to really personally help you, then that's the perfect opening. Be like, well, Owen's big course that's coming out, Blueprint Reloaded, is this amount, or the personal mentorship with me is 10K.
But you can CTAing really comes down to feeling out the audience. So what you want to do is add a fever pitch of the energy, where the energy is, this is like, you have created something people fucking love, and they're like, more, and they fucking love it. Then when they're in that state of more, that's when you do the CTA, the call to action. It's like in dating, right? If the person that you're talking to is really enjoying you and they're going more, then that's when you go to the next level. Not when they're like on a flat zone. So it's 100% an art form and calibration. How do you get it? Repetition. And people don't want to do repetition. Like, no, I'm just like me and I don't want to have to learn that. It's like, cool, bro. Then have fun living in your fucking piece of shit fucking life. But they're happy with it. So I guess that's that. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. But it's amazing what you can learn if you put a bit of time into it.
I'm definitely going to buy your blueprintreloaded.com. I fully endorse you. Will you buy it also? Will you sign up for his course?
Everybody is.
We're all going to sign up.
Yeah, but you know, it's a beautiful thing, the fact that this can be learned, right? And the fact that via process of experimentation, but it's like playing a video game, right? It's like, you know, you try different stuff and you learn from your mistakes, right? And it's always getting better And the people that are the true masters of it as they get better, it's like watching something really special. Like it's like watching like a Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kobe, and you're seeing them doing their craft and doing their art, and it's perfectly sequenced. And those are what's called a rainmaker, right? That's true rainmakers. They call it it's a different word now, but they call it selling a refrigerator to an Eskimo, right? Now called Inuit, or they're always changing their names these days. But that ability, right? Like that understanding. And what that really just comes down to is like how to generate value using your subcommunication, using your vibe, using your energy, not setting them off, not self-qualifying, building that value, recognizing when it's there, and then knowing the exact way to move the needle a little bit. And you learn that, you meet the love of your life, you make millions of dollars, you become a mogul, and you don't learn it, and you suffer. And so that's something that I think you have some incredible elements of that I think people picked up today. I think you showed them some incredible stuff. My goal when I talk to someone is to kind of draw out who they really are and to see it fully naked, and that's what I try to show about myself too. I caught to my bullshit and I got a lot of it, and just like I'm just out there and this is how it is. And I actually used to put out rejection compilations. I don't know if you remember that, but I would literally show my worst nights and show me being brutally rejected again and again and again and again, and just show everything, and that's the beauty of humans, is that we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And you came out here like fully naked and just came on and shared your story of your love for Bob Proctor, your near-death experience, your ideas about networking, hearing my feedback, which is like pretty wild stuff. And, and you're here and just fully naked and out there. And I appreciate you being here, brother. This is really awesome.
I appreciate you too, Owen.
Thank you,
so
brother.
much. This was your birthday podcast today. Yeah, you're the best. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. You too, brother.
I definitely want you on my podcast next.
We shall.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. And
Thank
then
you, bro.
you got to have Nubiel on too, because her voice is better than both of ours.
I love that, Ron.
Yeah. So that's great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Blueprint Reloaded, everybody. I'm so trained to do this. I don't know. I just can't stop it.
It's a great podcast, bro.
That's good. Was
A lot of stuff unveiled and revealed. It'll be very good.
Did you cut it? Is it done recording? Or so are you gonna